You're watching the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. Now it's time for the Brent and Austen Show.
Oh, what a busy week here in Jacksonville. We absolutely love it. We'll talk a little bit about the Bob Hayes track meet coming up this weekend over at UNF. We've got 9 new players at Jags headquarters. Thank you, NFL, for putting free agency on Players Championship Week as well. But we had you covered yesterday, and we'll talk some James Gladstone and some of these guys and how they could make an impact and our overall thoughts from what they said yesterday. But the headliner, of course, is the Players Championship, and we've got another dandy of a day at TPC Sawgrass here in Ponte Vedra Beach as the world watches, the golf world watches, and the party really begins this afternoon as we head into a weekend that will be filled with drama because, well, it's a fantastic golf course, but also the weather is going to factor in a little bit with the winds picking up on Saturday, maybe some rains and definitely more wind on Sunday. So a lot to digest and get into, including a leaderboard that features J.J. Spawn. Yeah, J.J. Spawn in the lead so far early on a Friday morning. Minwoo Lee at 8 under. Rory McIlroy, you know that name, a former champ at 8 under as well. And then we've got a list of characters on that board, including a couple of local flavor guys with Billy Horschel having a great first round and Bud Cauley as well. So good to see the locals right there near the top of the leaderboard. Good to see this man as well. It's Lee Smith, the executive director of the Players Championship, and he's going to host the entire 3-hour show with us today. Talk a little football, talk a little golf.
Love that.
Yeah, you got that in you, right?
Absolutely. Love that. Multi-sport watcher for sure.
Yeah. Hey, actually, you're a golf guy, but like what is your sport? What did you play? What did you love other than golf?
I'll tell you, did a little of everything growing up. Swam, played basketball, played baseball all through high school, then played golf in college. Actually, a great friend of mine who is a college basketball coach, went to the Final Four with NC State last year, coming down to support me. Today, flying down, going to be here all weekend. So yeah,
the head coach.
He was an assistant at NC State, Kareem Richardson. He was.
By the way, they just got hosed there. I mean, what are we doing at NC State? I don't know the whole situation, but you go to the Final Four for the first time since Jimmy V, and you get fired the next year.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, in this era of NIL and the portal, it's even more of a what have you done for me lately business. But no, he's coming down to support. A big college basketball fan I am. Follow him around. And really have a good time with it.
Cool. We got the Gators, by the way, in the SEC tournament. A legit chance to win a national championship. Selection Sunday, also on this Sunday when we crown a champ here at TPC Sawgrass. So a lot going on. And, I mean, you better have a little baseball in you if your name's Lee Smith, right? I mean, I know you get that a lot. I try to stay away from that, but one of the great closers of all time.
Yeah, all-time save leader when he retired. Big Cardinal fan, grew up in the Midwest, so followed the St. Louis Cardinals all my life. And we're kind of in a payroll dump that year that we're not used to for the Cardinals, but I think the National League Central is still up for grabs, so hopefully we'll win a division this year.
See, you could do this for a few hours.
That's right.
How's this week going? Wow, what a weather week so far we've had. And I know it's going to shift, but you can't ask for anything better than Thursday and Friday around here.
Yeah, no, it's really good. And even Saturday looks really, really good, just with some warm winds on Saturday, so we're certainly expecting a big turnout, and candidly, what better way to even add a little more drama to 16, 17, 18, and then to add a 15 or 20 mile an hour wind to deal with on Saturday. And right now, Sunday looks fantastic too for a large majority of the day. Yeah. Just something really, really late in the day looks like it could pop up, but no, we're expecting good weather all the way through, expecting a lot of drama all the way through. It looks like the Schefflers and Rorys, Minwoo Lees, the stars are coming to the top, but right now JJ Spawn is holding a one-shot lead.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Lee Smith came over as the executive director a couple years back now, so I mean you're settled in. And I asked you this last week. I said, what do you do to try to put your kind of handprint on an event that is already so good? We had Hal Sutton on yesterday, and it's like I was reading a little bit back on Hal Sutton when he won this thing in '83, second year at TPC Sawgrass, and here we are 40-something years later, and everybody just keeps talking about this event and how great it is. And I've been here 17 years. It just keeps getting better and better and bigger and bigger. And every time you interview the golf guys and the caddies, they're like, hey, the course is the best shape it's ever been in. Like every year it just keeps going up. So there's something natural to that where there's a little pressure almost maybe just to maintain that and not to try to reinvent the wheel, but also to try to reinvent some things maybe, and the fan experience to the player experience. So where are you at a couple of years in trying to do that?
Absolutely. I think I was, very fortunate to take over an Alabama football program, right? It's something that's on the rise. And so certainly your first job is to keep the train going down the track.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think, my role is as a former golf professional, maybe coming at it just with a little bit different perspective, with a golf lens, and then you kind of add in what is technology and innovation, and certainly bringing that to the fan experience outside the ropes. This year, our partners at Comcast Business have an app called Game the Green that allow you to sit on 17 and really predict where the player's going to hit it.
That's cool.
And you can guess and win prizes and garner points that way. Our broadcast has a significant amount of innovation this year. Artificial intelligence, even our setup team with competitions and rules is using artificial intelligence to set up the golf course. They can actually use AI to say, if I put the hole location here and I put the tee blocks here so that this hole is going to play this long, it can actually throw out simulations as to how scoring average is going to play on that day. And then
Did not know that.
Use a drop-down menu and even say if rough is this long and green speeds are this long, almost like e-commerce, really.
Wow.
And so the development of a tool like that Morgan Stanley, one of our proud partners, has helped us develop, just really the implementation of technology inside the ropes into the fan experience is a big part of the overall, just kind of building the event from year to year.
Yeah, and it is kind of like it's so much behind the scenes that you guys really try to do and meet on this stuff and brainstorm and ideas and kind of with that middle road of, all right, let's keep advancing but not too far off the tracks. And you guys have done a brilliant job, at least in my time here. So many fans, and I always say it's not necessarily all golf fans. I mean, you're really trying to reach fans of all different nature, from kids to older folks, but also the diehard golf fan to the very casual folks that we'll see out at 16, 17, 18 that are here for a party with a little golf in the background.
You're exactly right, Brent, and really the intentional nature of how we build the fan experience is not to just focus on the core golfer that wants to see the 144 best players in the world, but also to take a look at the families and continue to address our junior policy, which we think is the best in all of sports, that a ticketed adult can bring two juniors under the age of 15 complimentary every day of the week. Championship Sunday, two juniors under the age of 15 with a ticketed adult. What other sport allows that to happen? And it's great to see those smiling faces on the ropes. And then the implementation of 24 local restaurants for this to be a community event. And if you eat at Taco Lou the other 51 weeks a year, you can eat at Taco Lou this week also. And ABBQ and Cousins Maine Lobster is here with their food truck, and we got Bagels R Us and Carolina Jacks and just a bunch of local representation all around the facility to exactly what you say, to make sure that the event appeals to everyone.
I met a guy, Mike from Toronto, and we were excited to meet him because, hey, I watch the show all the time. I've become a Jags fan and Trevor Lawrence fan because we come down to the Players' Championship every year, and we stay in St. Augustine. We come here for a couple of days, and my wife's a Bills fan, but I've become a little bit of a Jags fan, so I watch the show. But I try to remind people of this. This event, while a local event and a great thing in our own backyard, which is awesome, is so international and so global. I don't think everybody in town understands the reach of this event, how big it is in the Far East, or how big it is in Europe, or how big it is in Australia. This is a global deal that has a major, major footprint.
No, you're exactly right. I'll just give you a couple of stats, Brent. 70% of our attendees are from outside the area. 60% are from outside the state that come to this tournament throughout the week. And then from one thing that we really take as an obligation, because of all the support that our media, our government officials, the elected, everybody, our volunteers, that we have, I think, 12 different countries that actually volunteer. But we take it as an obligation for our broadcast to make sure that we reach all different audiences. So 28 different languages, 220 countries and territories will have the ability to watch the broadcast. And last year, 51 million hours were consumed globally.
Amazing.
And so what better commercial for Northeast Florida and Jacksonville, Duval County, St. Johns County, Ponte Vedra Beach, than having 50 million hours of your broadcast consumed. And then this year was the first year, starting yesterday, of a world feed that came out of our brand new studios building.
Oh, and what a place it is.
And what that world feed is, from a golf pro's perspective, not technical, but what that world feed is that it allows us to have 6 cameras that are dedicated to international players only, and 4 commentary staff that allow them to broadcast those 6 cameras so that we can send Victor Hovland to Norway, and we can send Hideki Matsuyama to Asia, because those are what those countries want and what the culture demands. So we're excited to launch that product this week too.
That's really cool. They're trying to consume those guys like we have always tried to consume Tiger Woods. And everybody's always trying to consume Tiger Woods anyway, but that's how big those guys are.
No doubt.
Like back there, to your point. So awesome. Lee Smith, Executive Director of the Players Championship. I know you got a busy day. We'll let you run in just a moment, but I did have 2 questions to finish with. One, the 6th hole has been a cool topic this week with the tree and everything. And interestingly enough, we're just looking at some scoring data from yesterday. Playing a lot more difficult than usual, especially around the green area. It's a small green anyway, but it doesn't usually play as difficult as it did yesterday for whatever reason. Do you have any input in that? Do you have any input in the golf course stuff? Is that part of your job? I don't know exactly in your job description. Hey, we got to bring back that tree. We got to find a way. Are you a part of that kind of planning, or is that more for Potts and the agronomy staff and everything else?
I would say input, yes. Decision maker, not necessarily.
Okay.
Certainly with a golf background and being a PGA golf professional member myself, I think I do have the trust of our rules team and competitions team to ask a question or a perspective. So I think input, yes. But ultimately the decision to bring back that tree, I would tell you, first starts with going all the way back to Pete Dye. He left it there on purpose.
Yeah.
It was an intentional symbol that he wanted to be bookended by 5 and 7 that are really, really tough holes, that a relatively short hole was not necessarily going to have physical hazard, but that tree was going to be a mental hazard. Right, and I think you saw that by the way the players played it yesterday. The little lower shots to make that whole play a little bit different. So that's kind of where it started. Davis Love ultimately was brought on to be a consultant from a player perspective and a successful Players Championship player perspective, along with our rules team, and then as you mentioned, Jeff Plotz and Lucas Andrews from our agronomy team do such an amazing job. So the lift and finding of that tree, rolling it on bladders, 250 tons, and putting that tree in only about 8 months ago that make it look like it was always there since 1982 was an amazing feat, and I really think a cool addition to the golf course.
Yeah, great stories, by the way. If you go on PGA Tour, like on social media, there's like a 10-minute story in background with Davis Love and everybody else. It's really neat how that all happened. It wasn't easy. That thing is massive.
Right. 45-foot diameter root ball.
Crazy.
That was moved 100 yards. I asked the question, what if we had found it over on 14? How would we have gotten it over there then? Fortunately, only about 100 yards away.
That's all you had to move it. That's all. You had to move it. All right, one last thing. You're going to walk around here. You're going to leave here and walk through and watch people watch golf or look this beautiful day and beautiful golf course in Northeast Florida. What brings a smile to your face, kind of satisfaction as you're making that walk sometimes? I know you got a lot going through your mind in terms of making it a great experience for everybody and still have to do a lot of things this weekend, so it's probably hard to do that, but there's a moment or two as you're walking around here, you're like, it's pretty cool to see what?
I love seeing, when we have weather like this, I love seeing the work that our team has done to build fan experiences and the company activations and our local supporting partners that come and host clients and donor bases, and our medical systems are here and our education systems, all the universities host here and all those partners. I love seeing the smiles on people's faces that what what they envisioned as their hosting strategy and what we helped them build has come to life, and it's successful for them. It's great to see that the week of, and then I always love talking to them after when it's time to, as a retention tool to say, hey, remember how you enjoyed that last year?
That's right.
Let's talk about next year and the years to come. So it's always great to see smiles on fans and young people. I mentioned the junior program up on the ropes getting autographs and those types of things.
Cool. I'll just say 3 things about that. One, this place I always say is made for HD television. When HD television came, look at it on a day like today, it just pops. It's beautiful in every way, shape, and form. Even our shot, even a dummy like me can make a shot look good here today. And then you mentioned the kids. I mean, my kid's grown up through here, and he's here. He was here yesterday, and he's going to be here tomorrow. Like, they love it. It starts to get ingrained. It becomes a tradition for those kids to be here with their moms and dads. So that free ticket really turns into a generational fan here.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. The complimentary junior tickets turn into them being standard bearers and volunteers working on the practice ground. And then it turns into we've got great local merchandise partners that our youth, and maybe the 18 to 25s jumped into. Then the Creator Classic Wednesday is the 25 to 35, year-old age group. And so certainly creating generational fans. And I'd be remiss if I didn't go even earlier. Our onesie program with all the health systems here, there's about 500 babies that are born the week of the Players Championship, and every one of them leaves with an Island baby onesie. Cool. So we like to start fans really early, Brent.
I think we have one of those on our own place. I think we just had a couple babies born back at Action News Jacks in the last week or so. So 500. I didn't know the number was that high. Yeah. And lastly, one other thing about it, you guys help make a lot of businesses in town money, because there's a lot of business that gets done this week.
Absolutely.
No doubt. And
absolutely.
I mean, it's a great day out of work, but it's really not a great day out of, it's not a day out of work because there's a lot of work being done, even maybe with a cocktail in the hand.
We love hearing the stories of businesses that shut down, tell their employees to wear blue and gold as the players' colors, and then to your point, come here and attract clients or retain their current clients. That's one of the platforms that we're able to build, and we take seriously for that.
I should be proud of it. Great staff, great folks, and obviously a wonderful tournament. Love being here. Thanks for helping us out and help tell the story.
Thanks,
and Lee Smith, you could do this for 3 hours, man.
Absolutely. I love that. One of these days. One of these days.
Anytime. If you want to break from the golf world, appreciate you. Thank you very much. All right, we'll shift back into a little bit of football talk. You can get out of here unless you really want to. We just do this on the fly. I'm not taking a break.
Thanks, Brent.
Thanks, man. That's Lee Smith, Executive Director of the Players Championship, and obviously fantastic stuff going on here this week at the Players. Glad for him to stop by and educate us on all the little things going on and big things going on here on at TPC Sawgrass. So very cool to be out here this week. It's such a great event. And once I see it, again, you don't have to like golf. I did not know the numbers were that high on the outsiders coming to this event. I would have thought for traffic purposes only that we get that number of locals or Floridians here at this tournament was so much higher, but it doesn't surprise me either. I think people make this part of their calendar when it comes to the Players Championship. Brent Martineau, Jason Hamby. Okay, that's how we get rolling on a show, and we'll give you an update on the leaderboard and everything else. Gary Smith is going to join us a bit later in the 11 o'clock hour. I want to celebrate Gary a little bit. He's 40th year at the Players Championship. He's the golf guy in town, does a great job, and we will talk to Gary Smith, and also covers the Jags a bit too. So let's get on to the Jags and get right into yesterday. And James Gladstone specifically. We were going through the show yesterday from 10 to 1, and you can always watch it back on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch and Facebook, and we replay on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network and the podcast. Don't forget about that, so you can listen to it. And we were going through as Marcel Robinson was tweeting out from the players, so we dissected some of that. What we didn't get to is James Gladstone, the new GM. He talked in the afternoon after our show, and I thought he had some interesting things to say. And, Hamby, I'm going to approach this a little bit different as we listen to some of the things Gladstone said. It wasn't necessarily, there was some context and meat to what he had to say, but I want people, when we play some of these sound bites, to listen to the word choice being used. And for me, the way it read, when I actually read the transcript and listened to it, is it just sounds different. And I think that's what everybody's excited about. And I've said that multiple times in the last few weeks now. But I think people are excited about two things going on in Jacksonville. One, that there was a reset, and with all due respect to Trent Baalke, that really he's out of the picture. I think fans are saying, okay, that's good. Time for a reset. But I also think, and I don't know if this is a fully focused, concentrated thing, but more of a subconscious thing, that I think they know it sounds different. Things sound different right now in Jacksonville, the way they're saying it. And so I heard that yesterday. I don't know if you caught that, Hamby. And so some of these sound bites that we'll end up playing, it might just be a word or two that's in there, and I want to just highlight it more than what is being said. So overall thoughts from you on Gladstone after listening back. It was only like 12 minutes, by the way. I think the one big nugget that came out of there was two big nuggets. They're about done, right? They're done in free agency. I mean, they're basically going to work on those 10 draft picks. I mean, you could always sign a player here or there, but he basically said, we want to open the door for anybody we draft to be able to contribute. So we don't want to log jam a spot. And he specifically said that when asked about the edge position.
And D-line,
I think he also tipped his hand. One of those 10 picks, 2 of those 10 picks, 3 of those 10 picks, 4 of those 10 picks, they're going to be on that defensive front, whether it's on the interior or the edge. That's where they're going to get their depth. It's going to come from a young player in the draft. Now, is that at number 5? You can insinuate that it's at number 5, but I also think it's deeper than that. It could be in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round, and they hope some of those finds are going to be immediate impacts, at least in a rotational role for the 2025 Jags.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I got out of it is just confirmation. Right, we were trying to retroactively look at the 9 moves that he made on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and try to guess what Gladstone and the whole front office was thinking. And he pretty much confirmed a lot of those things. And that might sound like something that you could kind of glaze over, but that doesn't always happen. And it hasn't happened here in a while to actually kind of explain what you were thinking, how you went about the whole process. So the first thing in the first sentence of him speaking, other than his hello, was, we wanted to raise the floor, right? And they could tell that they made a conscious effort about that. And you won't hear this, but something else that he said was, look, going into Monday, we had 9 guys that we were very interested in, and at the end of the day, we signed 9 players. So that could be kind of hard to believe, but by all intents and purposes, he makes it sound like those 9 guys that they signed were the guys that they were really actually targeting, and they got every single one of them. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt, that maybe they had to pivot on 1 or 2, and they chose somebody that really fit the billing of somebody else that they were really going after. But, at the very least, I take away that this was an insanely intentional process where, again, Tuesday and Wednesday, we're talking about, you were talking about, well, he said he was going to be disciplined, and he was going to have a very disciplined approach, kind of let things come to him, and that's kind of what it seems like he's done. And he just straight up confirmed it. He was like, we wanted to be very disciplined with the dollars that we had. We had a set amount, and we wouldn't achieve that. Our goal was not to win in free agency. Our goal is to win football games in the fall, and we felt like we've improved every area. One last point just before, as a main takeaway, the other thing that we talked about Tuesday and Wednesday is some of it seems like we're plugging gaps and kind of just band-aiding so that we have flexibility in the draft. He pretty much said that verbatim, where they wanted as much flexibility in the draft as possible, and they never felt like they had to draft a certain position in a certain, as he would say, what was his phrase? Pick slot? What was it? He used a phrase I never heard of before, but that's nothing new with James Gladstone.
He does use some fresh verbiage,
Yes.
And again, I think that's part of the feel of this. Now, I will say, listen, I've been around this longer than you have, Hamby. You're going to get almost every time this happens, and we talk about it, they usually will Band-Aid positions up enough so they don't get stuck in a corner. That's like GMing 101. So that's not like outside the box, but you're right. I mean, they did it. They feel like they've done it. The other thing is, I take it with a little, like you said, grain of salt and a little bit of a smirk, and it doesn't mean it's wrong. It's just, I'm not totally buying into Okay, we had 9 guys on the board, and we got all 9.
Sure.
Like, that's what you do to sell, like, what you did. Tony Baselli's going to sell. We wanted Liam Cohen all the time. We got Liam Cohen. Like, who's Ben Johnson? And that's fine. Like, it's fine. I'm not being critical of it. That's what you do. You get behind what you did. You push what you did. You have the opportunity and a platform and a microphone to be able to do that. You do that. That's fine. You set the tone there. You create that. No problem with it. Like I said before, committed to the uncommitted. We got a couple of guys signed up. We helped them. Right? It's like, we don't know if we helped them, but we helped them. We can push that side of the narrative too. That's just the way it is. So let's get into this. And before we hit a break, I want to get to a couple. I'm going to, just so you know where to start, Hamby.
Yeah.
I want to knock these 2 out first, and then we'll hit a break, and then we'll go visit a bunch of other things. But I want to go backwards first and just get his thoughts on Kirk and Ingram, and then we'll move that into Cooper Kupp, because those are 3 huge names that obviously have been talked about a lot over the last couple weeks. So let's begin with the whole Kirk and Ingram deal and what he had to say. And I thought he did a nice job from an organization standpoint of saluting those guys, but also explaining why they had to move on.
For the people and the players that both Christian and Evan are, right? And they meant a lot to the locker room. And, we'll continue to bring those types of people and players into our ecosystem, but we needed a little bit more flexibility to address the larger scale roster after, some departures across the OL as well. So that was a big part in that, but we do feel like we're in a better position today than we were a couple of weeks ago to make it so that when we enter each decision at each pick point in April.
There it is. Pick point.
So that pick point. There you go. You got the pick point. Pick point. Pro football free agency is a big thing that the GMs and scouts like to use. Instead, we say free agency, pro football free agency. Pick point. I like that. I can get on board with that. Game on, says James Gladstone. But, hey, listen, great acknowledgement. Handled that very well. Great acknowledgement. And of Ingram and Kirk and what they've done, but also a decent explanation of, hey, here's what we're thinking. We needed to clear up some of that space to be able to go get multiple positions with those dollars. Didn't really jump into the scheme part of that. Maybe more of a Liam Cohen question when you get those kind of tight ends and how they fit in the chess pieces.
Sure.
But hey, listen, that's a decent explanation. That's what they did. They went out and got a bunch of guys for X amount of dollars instead of 2 or 3 guys for that same amount of money. And part of that was clearing some of the space with the Ingrams and Kirks of the world. Is it satisfying? Does it mean it works? Absolutely not. But at least I like the explanation, and I really like the hat tip to those guys to say, hey, we know they were significant in our locker room, and we're going to have to replace that. So good job on those guys for that, or for Gladstone, the way he handled that. The next one up is Cooper Kupp. Everybody's been asking about Cooper Kupp. It really feels like the Jags are kind of out on Cooper Kupp now, based on a lot of different reports. Cooper Kupp is still out there. I think the latest thing I saw is he wants to stay on the West Coast. He's asking for a king's ransom, even at the age that he is at and the production that he has had. So it might be him pricing himself out, but the Jags don't feel like they're moving on Cooper Kupp. Here's what Gladstone had to say when asked about it.
I got a ton of respect for Cooper. He was actually in the first draft that I ever had the chance to be a part of. And throughout the course of his career in Los Angeles, he is one of the purest to form wide receivers, change the dynamic for what's actually asked of those guys in modern football. And I think at this point in time, it's fair to say in pro free agency, we're always open to every opportunity that presents itself, but time will truly tell.
Hey, I want you to run that one back because I want you to listen to. Here's some of the word choice stuff, which I thought. Now, I think he said a lot on Kupp there without saying a lot on Kupp. But I love the word choice here. Right? This is great stuff. Listen to him describe Cooper Kupp again. Purest to form wide receivers. Like, who says that? Like, who? Nobody's saying that kind of stuff. Is this what? Are people just reluctant to say these kind of buzz phrases over the years behind closed doors? Are these new things that I just don't pay attention to enough? it feels and sounds different. Again, I want to front this with, this doesn't mean he's going to be the greatest GM ever and they're going to win 3 Super Bowls in the next 5 years. I'm not trying to morph that. I'm just telling you it sounds different, feels different. It's refreshing, and it's kind of fun to listen to the lingo from pick point to purest of form receivers. And again, look how detailed his explanation of a guy like Cooper Kupp is. So listen to it again real quick.
I got a ton of respect for Cooper. He was actually in the first draft that I ever had the chance to be a part of. And throughout the course of his career in Los Angeles, he is one of the purest to form wide receivers, changed the dynamic for what's actually asked of those guys in modern football. And you know, I think at this point in time, it's fair to say in pro free agency, we're always open to every opportunity that presents itself, but time will truly tell.
Purest of form, change the dynamic of what is asked for them in modern football, right? I mean, these are like, does that mean, yeah, he's a good route runner? Like, maybe, but it just sounds so eloquent. It sounds so good. And modern football is something that is interesting to hear him say, because he seems like he's at that front end of it. That's really what Shad Khan was after in this cycle, based on the predictability of what the Jags had just done, and quite frankly, the staleness at times of what they've done over the last 10 or 12 years, or in the ownership of Shad Khan. So anyway, the bigger picture thing outside of the verbiage and everything else I got wrapped up in is they are not getting Cooper Kupp. Yeah. Like that was my takeaway. You know what? As soon as I saw that and heard that, it reminded me, Hamby, of Liam Cohen talking about Christian Kirk at the Combine. Remember, we got him off in a scrum. We had it live right here on the Brent and Austen show from Indianapolis. And he said, I got a lot of respect for Christian Kirk. And, I mean, if you just break down that soundbite, it was like, he ain't coming back. Like, right. That's not an endorsement of, hey, we got to ride with this guy. We're going to make it happen. None of that. And I don't say that from a negative side. I just think it was a hint. They're not lying to you. They're not going to sell you on something and say, okay, yeah, we're going to get it. Sure, you leave the door open all the time, but it sounds like no thanks on Cooper Kupp. Sure. If you listen to what James Gladstone said, very reminiscent, in my opinion. Salute to the player, but we're probably not interested, much like Cohen said about Kirk.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to tip your hand too much, but you know, you don't want to discount anything they've done too, and that's a fine line that some people are not good at executing how to say. And Cohen did it, and Gladstone has now done it because, look, it's important to the people that are still in the locker room how you talk about the people that just left, because one day you're going to be that person, whether you want to be or not. So that's why I think of it like at work, when somebody leaves their position or somebody chooses to go to another company or whatever, how do people talk about that person? Because when it's time for you or it's time for that person or whatever, that's how they talk. Because if they talk, it's the same. It's not like it's specific to that one person. So I have to believe that, again, incredibly small thing, but the guys in the locker room hear what these guys say. And just little things like that help. They improve anything from like the morale to the belief in the front office. Those things matter, no matter how small. And again, those guys in the locker room, if they were to say how they would want to be talked about, if Evan Ingram was to tell you, hey, this is how I want to be talked about, it would probably be pretty much exactly what Gladstone says. Now, I mean, he's not going to go up there and talk about every accomplishment that Ingram had. He's going to keep it rather quick because he wants to talk about the guys that he just brought in. But at the same time, to give that even small part of respect without, giving too much away, I think is well done.
Michael says my excitement is what did he say?
Contagious.
He said something. Brent, your excitement is contagious. I love it. All right. I guess I'm excited. I just have a lot of energy here on a Friday morning where I'm excited. I like this stuff. I really do. I like breaking down this stuff. And I kind of find it sometimes unfair to them on the negative side that we break down every word choice. I don't always say the right words either here over 3 hours. So if you break down every single word, you're like, Brent, what the hell are you talking about? I get it. And so these guys are, putting a spot the same way. I kind of defended Doug at times this year because of that. But these guys, And I think what people are saying, I think Coach Rip said it, and I think Hamby's Burner just said elite communicators.
Yeah.
They're really, I think it's cool to profess what you preach, right? Now, we're still trying to see the actions, but I think so far, if you're going to talk about it, if you're going to preach it, at least do it. I think that's what people want to do. I think they're getting people on board with that. The Jags just put something else out on social media, and it said pure collaboration with like the emojis holding hands, right? And so I didn't even see the video part, but it's obviously these guys all working together. They can control that narrative. They can control what is being said. They can control what is being shown. Now, you got to do it. Do we know it's being worked out like that all the time? Will it be in the sign? It's easy right now, man. Everybody's 0-0. The real question is what happens in October if you start 1-3. That's what I always say. What happens then if you start 0-2? That's where you really find out who you are and what the organization is and where the level of toxicity is and everything else, how you're going to manage that. But right now, the Jags, Gladstone, Cohen, Baselli, these guys are doing a great job of getting in line, figuring out their buzzwords, their message, and they might not even look at it that way. They're looking at more of their mission statement and their mission in general, and they're preaching it. And now they're trying to profess it. And part of that, and I lied to you, and I'm not going to go to break yet because I want to hear more. I want more excitement and be contagious here because the word discipline has come up a lot, and this is what I really praised Gladstone for on Monday and Tuesday about this free agency. To me, it echoed that word discipline, and he brings up that word on this one, Hamby. It's the second one on your list here about building through the draft and patience. Yeah. And again, this is what I'm talking about. If you're going to say it, can you practice it as well? If you're going to preach it, will you practice it? Well, they've been preaching patience and discipline, and we're going. Well, it looked like this week they did that. They did not go out of that realm. They did not go out of their lane. They did not get emotional here and say, we got to go get this guy because the Houston Texans are doing this. At some times, it feels like the Jags organization has done that, and I could give you a laundry list of possibilities where they might have done that. And a lot of it comes in free agency in terms of the spending. So listen to this one. One more before we do hit a break. We have to get to one, unfortunately. But here's James Gladstone, and the word discipline continues to be echoed.
That's my experience most recently with the Los Angeles Rams, and it's something that I feel like I have a unique capacity to take on with the current position that we hold, which is 10 picks this year, 11 picks next year. And so with pro free agency, we wanted to set ourselves up so that we feel like we had the flexibility to address any position that we wanted to at any pick point that lies on the horizon, and feel like we're currently in a position to do just that.
And so he didn't say the word discipline in that part of it, but he eventually would, and that's what he's showing, right? I mean, again, they had this plan. Whether you believe they got 9 guys that they coveted, all 9 guys, maybe they did, which also would be, that's a heck of a bingo card there to be able to deliver or throw the dartboard and you got them all. But also that would showcase a plan, right? That they were able to execute their plan, because without guys that are harder to get, or when you've got 3 or 4 teams chasing the high dollar and you're just going to the highest bidder and then you reach a max point and you can't go any higher. So again, all these things add up to what I would call discipline. And, I think that last soundbite there was a little bit more GMing 101, quite frankly. That's not really that outside the box. Continue to watch and listen for discipline moments with this regime. Where are there signs where they show some of that? I think if we can feel that and see that, there's probably even more of that going on, because there's a lot that we can't feel and see.
Brent,
so,
real quick,
I like some of this stuff. Again, it feels different. It feels refreshing. But I also do want to point out, not everything they say or do to pull back on the excitement is contagious comment is like, oh my gosh, look what they've done, right? Like, we got to be, I will be careful of doing that. In a sense, it's a little bit like what I've learned over the years on OTAs and training camp. You can get OTAs and training camp excited, and it doesn't matter when it comes to Sundays in September. I've learned that over the years. If you listen to me back in 2010, 11, and 12 talk about OTAs and training camp and you get excited, like, all right, let's go. Jags looking good. Nothing, right? I mean, shoot, we just did it again. But we also, if you listen to us back in August, we're like, it's just camp now. It's just preseason. You got to get to Sundays. Like, that's what we'll warn you about now. We'll educate you along. Like, Hamby, that's really for you. You're a youngin' now in the business, right? You haven't been through as many of these. You haven't been through, you've been through Jags disappointment, but up close, you can get tied into this wordplay. The excitement of the offseason, practices, who's shining. The bottom line, remember, it only matters come September and what you're doing on Sundays, and that's the true test, if it worked or not. And last year was a punch-in-the-face moment for all of us to remember that, because nobody in their right mind thought they would win just 4 games last year. Even if you are the negative person in town, you didn't think 4 wins was where they were landing, and they ended up doing that.
It's true, and he was obviously when he was asked right there, what is the philosophy on building through the draft, and because you've been disciplined in free agency, is that like a personal mantra? Is that coming from the owner? And that's when he was saying that's my specialty. And he did say discipline many times in this. And the first one was when he was asked about Makari at offensive line. He said, "I don't know that's something that's typical. I don't know if that's something that typically comes up on the market at a cost point that's affordable enough to pursue. Really, we're very disciplined in our approach and how we spent this offseason." And then the next question was about relying on the draft instead of free agency. And then I'll echo one more thing. We're talking about just how different this sounds, right? How different he speaks. When he was asked about Dyami Brown, that's not something that you'll hear, because a lot of that was kind of, there wasn't a lot of striking in his answer. However, he did say, look, it's very simple for Dyami Brown. He's taking a bet on himself and signing a 1-year deal in hopes that he will outperform it and sign a bigger deal next season. He doesn't say it with us. He doesn't say, he's recognizing this. Everybody knows this, but how often do you hear general managers just point out the very obvious? Yeah, the guy's betting on himself. He's on a 1-year deal because he wants to make a lot more money if he performs the way that he hopes to, and we hope to put him in a position to. That just, you don't hear that often, unless I'm zoning in or zoning out too much, to be able to recognize that and just straight up say it, because everybody knows it, but just to put it out there is like, look, here's the deal.
Yeah, Hamby, I think that's a really good point. And let me just, I know that sounds so easy. And we said it on the show this week, and you're right. I don't know if everybody knows. I think we assume it. We don't know what the actual market was for Dyami Brown. Some people are like, you paid $10 million to Dyami Brown? It's like, well, okay, did he bet on himself? Did the Jags really want to spend 2 years, $16 million? Was this an Evan Ingram kind of deal where he's like, hey, I'm going to go have a big year now and a breakout year, and I'm going to go get me an Allen Lazard plus kind of contract, the way the receiver market is? You don't really know. We could assume. We thought that could be a possibility. He clarified for it. He clarified it for everybody in the organization, for everybody outside the organization. My goodness, we've been begging for this stuff. This is not brain surgery. You're not giving away any trade secrets by saying that. It's called transparency, and that's exactly what we've been begging for. This is why we were just so crazy about Doug last year. It's like, Doug, this stuff ain't hard. I almost said something else. This stuff isn't hard right now. Like, some of this is just easy to be able to relay to people. Just say it. Stop trying to be smartest guy in the room and hide everything like you guys know something that everybody else doesn't, because it didn't work. So that's called transparency. That's a sign of transparency, even in that small little nugget you just said about Dyami Brown. And I don't know if that went over people's head. I don't know if they care about it. I think, I care about it, because you don't have to go fishing. It's this. It's not, it could be this. Get rid of the gray. There was too much gray. Like we said last year, I think I tweeted one time, the Jags' favorite color was gray under that regime. Everything had to be a trade secret that we know and you don't, and the rest of the league doesn't. And again, it's not true, because we actually felt like we knew more than they did on occasion. So you don't want to set it up that way. Just talk to the fans, man. People know football. And you're not putting somebody's business out there by saying that. That's actually a very positive thing, because you know what? The last time that happened, Evan Ingram bet on himself and he turned it into a 3-year extension and became a hell of a free agent for the Jags. So maybe Dyami Brown can do the exact same thing. See, that's the other part of this. Evan Ingram signed here, 1-year deal, bet on himself, re-signed with the team. De'Ami Brown goes and has a good year. Who says he can't re-sign with the team if the Jags like him at such a young age? So it's a really good point. I like that, and that was one of the things that I had highlighted through the transcript as well. And I mean, I know this stuff seems so elementary. It just, that's the point. It is kind of elementary. So just do it. Don't try to trick everybody. Last year was a tricky kind of regime at times, especially in front of a microphone. All right, hey, 47 minutes going before a break. All right, here we go. From the Players' Championship on a Friday, we got a lot still to get to. We'll give you an update on the leaderboards, but we're really diving into the James Gladstone stuff with a lot of reaction yesterday, so we'll do that as well. Hey, how about Gardner Minshew goes to the Kansas City Chiefs? A few other things to get into along the way. In fact, a lot. I want to tell you a little bit more about the Bob Hayes Gala last night that we were at, and also the Bob Hayes Invitational track meet coming up. We'll show you. There were some really cool things that happened during that last night. I just thought it was a great sports night here in Jacksonville, so we'll share some of that with you as well. Still to come here on the Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. He looks like he's having a good time with everything, right? And it feels like we're going to watch this guy grow in this position, which I think is kind of cool. Say that about some young players like Trevor Lawrence or Trayvon Walker or Brian Thomas Jr. You get to watch these guys kind of grow into what they become, and same goes here for James Gladstone. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at nimnickbuickgmc.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. And most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick. GMC. We are professional grade.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Kruzanovich's under-23 men's team.
They sit in the dying moments.
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season.
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants. We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter. Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give That One Painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with That One Painter First Coast on your team.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Oh, what a great night last night. Charlie Neal, by the way. In fact, I'm going to send you a video, really legendary broadcaster. I'm going to send you a video in just a little bit, Hamby, so we can just listen to Charlie. Some of the greatest pipes of all time. Amazing. So just to be in the room last night at the Bob Hayes Invitational Gala on the west side. And what a night it was. Very cool. They do a fantastic job. We've had Greg Coleman on. We had Justin Gatlin on. Been leading into this event, which really starts today at UNF with the middle school track meet. And then tomorrow concludes with the high school track meet, one of the most prestigious in the entire country when it comes to high school track meets. And you can watch it, by the way, on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, 1 o'clock until 6 o'clock. I'll probably get into more of this as we go, but there were just some cool moments yesterday. Like sitting back in my position, we like to obviously tell stories and cover local sports as much as we can. And we hate there's just some things you can't cover or there's just not enough resources or whatever, right? This is kind of one of those weeks, to be honest, where you just almost like it never feels complete because feels like you're missing stuff and you can't do enough with everything that we have going on. Whether it's on social media, here on the show, on TV, it's just you wish you had 15 other people to kind of help. And last night was a little bit like that because I'm watching. It was a great event, really cool event, and it was just interesting. Like I'd be like, oh, that'd be a great story. That'd be a great story. That'd be a great story. Like I'm thinking like, oh, this would be a heck of a documentary. Like that's where my mind is going. And I'm like, it's already a crazy week. Get my mind out of here. Like where I'm already like wrote down all these different story ideas. But one of the neat things about yesterday was they had, they obviously had the Hall of Fame class like Justin Gatlin and Olympians and gold medalists. And we'll talk, I'll list the names a little bit later on the show probably. But they also brought back like a handful of folks, and maybe a little bit more, 6 or 7, that had participated in the original Bob Hayes Invitational track meet 60 years ago. And so they were there for that, which was just awesome. Shows you the length of this meet, how good it is, how good it's become, and to have those folks there, I thought was really pretty cool. Again, one of the great track meets. T.T. Terry, who was on that U.S. Women's Olympic gold medal team in Paris, the relay where they whooped them. They just dominated, if you remember. So she was a member of that squad. She ran at USC. She's from Miami. She participated in the Bob Hayes 4 straight years in high school, and she's not that long ago. And now, obviously, is one of the best track athletes in the world. So that will show you the kind of dynamic that was there. Garrett Scantling from Episcopal, Olympian, decathlete. He was great. And also obviously Justin Gatlin there as well. There was another track star from the Bahamas who had participated in 5 Olympics. So I'm not sure you know her name as well, but that's the kind of talent was there. And then, of course, we had Albert Chester on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he's a FAMU legend out of Jacksonville and won the only FCS championship, national championship, for an HBCU school, and that was back in '78, and nobody's done it since. So the ties to Jacksonville to FAMU, I always say this, I don't claim to know everything. I love learning more about the history of Jacksonville. You go to an event like that, you even learn more. You think you know some, you learn more. So really great. And again, if you get a chance to go out to the Bob Hayes, support the kids, or just check them out at BHITM22.org. They have done such a good job of keeping Bob Hayes' legacy around. The greatest athlete to ever come out of Jacksonville. Of course, you know him as a gold medalist and a Super Bowl champ, only athlete to do that. But they have done such a great job of keeping his memory and legacy alive, along with Coach Day and the scholarship program that they've put together. So, man, if you were at that event, you'd want to participate a little bit more. I can just tell you that. So check them out online, and we'll have the track meet tomorrow. We're looking forward to that. That's some of the cool things that we do. I know we talk Jags, and Jags are king, and NFL's king, and we get to be here at the Players' Championship. But at the root of what we're doing on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, it's not just a show like this. It's really the ability to take something like the Bob Hayes Invitational track meet and the prestige of that and put it on our network, on actionsportsjacks.com on the web, on Action News Jacks and the app. You can watch it from your living room tomorrow on Roku and Google TV and Apple TV. And we can take a local event like that and put it on those platforms and try to amplify it for everybody to see even more. That's really what is at the root of what we're doing here with this new network that's just over a year old. So it's pretty cool. Good stuff, and check it out. Maybe even talk a little. I said I was going to talk more about it later. Maybe I just did right now instead. But I want to showcase some more of the video, Hamby, throughout the show, and we'll explain a little bit more about what happened. Is this the audio of Charlie? Oh, no, okay. I'll send you the one of the Charlie. You got to just listen to. I mean, I don't know if everybody knows Charlie Neal, but you got to listen to it. It's just like gold. It's awesome. And I'm jealous. Bob Hayes Invitational track meet tomorrow, actionsportsjacks.com on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. Welcome back to the Players' Championship. Brent Martineau along with Jason Hamby. Thanks for obliging me and talking about the Bob Hayes event last night. Let's get you to just a quick update on the score. Wow, Rory's up to double digits. Okay, Rory McIlroy, past champ here, playing well. He was 5 under after round one. He's 5 under on the back nine today. Started on the back nine. Let's take a look at that scorecard. And, oh, yeah. How about this? Now, this is not a Jordan Spieth scorecard. This is just a good scorecard. Birdie on 10, par on 11, which is kind of surprising. Birdie on 12, par on 13. Birdie on 14, which is a great hole to birdie. You win a skin there. Par on 15. Birdie on 16, par on 17, birdie on 18 for Rory. He's at 10 under par. So how about that? Sprinkled in 5 birdies and 4 pars in alternating fashion, and he's at the top of the leaderboard going to the front 9. Min Woo Lee, J.J. Spawn, 9 under par. Batia is at 8 under. Ricky Fowler, what a nice start for him here this week. A decade ago, he won the Players' Championship with all that magic around 17. He's 3 under through his morning so far at 7 under par. Lucas Glover, 6 under. He tees off later this afternoon. And then you've got Scheffler at 5 under as well. Billy Horschel's even on the day after a great first round. Colin Morikawa up to 5 under. So here we go with the huge names on the leaderboard here at the 2025 Players' Championship. And again, nice story here with Bud Cauley. He tees off this afternoon, but great to see him playing good golf here in his backyard in Jacksonville. Bud Cauley in this tournament for the first time since 2020, and of course that one was cut short because of the pandemic. Brent Martineau here, Jason Hamby, and the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 Network studios. We'll talk more golf with Gary Smits in about a half hour or so, so let's stay on the football side of things right now and get to more James Gladstone. Hamby, where are we going? Let's go with, I got to find it. Hang on. We got a lot of stuff here. Let's go to another big topic. When Jordan Lewis is kind of an intriguing signing, and Jarian Jones, what does that mean for him? Here's James Gladstone on now, this one I'm not sure he was super transparent on. This one is kind of muddy. This one was like, all right. I mean, can we just say something here? Because you didn't pay a nickel corner in Jordan Lewis that kind of money to not play nickel, did you? Like, you're going to move. He was almost a Pro Bowler last year.
Right.
He's got to play nickel. Jarian Jones is the move piece here in year 2 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, it's got to be that way, I would think. But Gladstone didn't admit that. He really left the door open. Here's what he had to say about the secondary guys.
You know, one of the most exciting elements to Jordan Lewis is that every offensive coordinator that I've come in contact with has always highlighted him as somebody that they have to account for in their game planning. And when you turn on the film, it's easy to see why. Now, one of the things that we really wanted to do for our defensive backfield is bring a veteran presence with a level of doggedness and toughness that was going to level up our current style of play. And Jordan's somebody who we believe highly in to bring that and offer that skill set to our football team. Yeah.
Does that mean Jarian might be looking at outside, or what's the kind of thought process?
One of the things that we're valuing is versatility, and with both of those guys, we feel like they have the flexibility to play both inside and out. I think we'll see how that takes shape over the course of this offseason and into the beginning of next season. But between the two of them, both of them are players that we find value in, and just the versatility between the two of them just allows us a little bit more flexibility.
So there you go. Hey.
Brent, that automatically means that Jarian's moving outside.
Yeah, no, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
Do you think it does?
No, I just saw that.
I think it actually is probably. I think it probably is that way. I think they were a little reluctant to say it, but here's my thing. I don't know what Jarian's going to do. Austen earlier in the week talked about the Green Bay Packers and the different move pieces that they have. Jarian Jones himself has talked about him being that piece, and I think we're anticipating that he'll get a shot at the outside, but I think it's hard to pencil him in as being that guy. Depending on what they do in the draft, he might have a front seat there, but I think we still have to learn a little bit more. The one thing I don't think we have to learn about is a guy that's played with the Dallas Cowboys for however many years and almost made a Pro Bowl at the nickel position, and as a veteran coming in with some attitude, by the way. That dude's going to be there at that spot. Like, I don't see them paying him money and saying, oh, let's move you. Now, did they do that back in the day with Boye? They might have done that on 17 a little bit with Boye. Nah, I don't think they did. No, I'm thinking of the other. You know who they tried to do that with? Is actually Aaron Colvin played in 17 at the nickel spot. Yep. Houston said, hey, we're going to bring you over. We're going to give you a shot on the outside, and it didn't work. So, no, you're going to get a guy that's played that spot, played it well, almost at a Pro Bowl level, and you're going to put him there because you paid him to play there. So I don't really think there's a lot of mystery. I think Jordan Lewis is your guy at nickel now. The mystery is what exactly happens with Jarian Jones.
Yeah, Brent, as much as I wish that it was that simple, it was only a year ago around this time this week where we would have thought the same thing with Eric Armstead. You paid him to play with his hand in the dirt, and then you moved him outside. I think it's kind of similar. You know, you would say with a veteran with that much experience. I mean, I think Jordan Lewis has got 9 years in the league. Eric Armstead probably had 9 or 10. You know, if you're paying a guy at that point, you pay them to play the position that they just came and have played their entire career, and more specifically played the last season. That didn't happen with Eric Armstead. But yes, I would say that 99% of the time, you are right that if you pay a guy, you keep him exactly where you used to be, barring anything, very unexpected. So I would be shocked if Jordan Lewis didn't play at least 90% of his snaps at the nickel spot. However, Jarian, I think you could take that any number of ways, what Gladstone just said, with the versatility aspect. But I'm just, the people that are like, well, this obviously means he's moving outside. I don't see where you gathered that. All he talks about was the versatility and adding depth and having multiple guys at the spot who can play it. So that could, in Gladstone's mind, just mean he's going to be Jordan Lewis's backup. He's going to be the backup on the outside. He's going to be the dime guy. He's going to find a way to get him on the field in some capacity. But just being I think this is the last thing I heard was Jarian's going to be our number 2 guy on the outside opposite of Tyson Campbell.
Yeah, and listen, I think he's going to have a chance to earn a lot of opportunity in various roles. That's where I am with Jarian, and I like him. I think we like him. But he's going to have to earn it, and he maybe have Buster Brown, maybe have a draft pick to contend with. We'll see. The big thing in that whole statement, though, is really, my goodness, did the regime think these guys were soft? I hate saying soft on our football. Not tough enough. I hate saying that. Can I rewind that? Sorry, guys, I didn't. But by a football standard, they thought, and I can tell you this, that just echoed that, because he said Jordan Lewis comes in and he brings
doggedness.
It's like he knows what we know. Doggedness, great word, by the way, and toughness, he did say. But that's exactly what everybody's been preaching for months now, specifically on our show. Like, you need some more edge. That's why we like Jari. Because he brings some edge, brings some attitude, right? Brings a little unpredictability to it. Go look at Jordan Lewis highlights, and you're going to see a guy that's, getting into some, I wouldn't say melees, but certainly a little extracurriculars after the whistle.
And he admitted that in his own press conference.
Some of that. Yeah, he sounds like a very aggressive football player. And sure, there's a point where you could criticize over-aggression. Take Al-Shaair, for example. But you need some of that here in Jacksonville, and we know we needed some of that in Jacksonville. And I can just tell you this, when this regime was introduced several different times over the last month and a half or so, it was like conversations, not on a microphone, were, what was going on with that team? They didn't look like they were almost like they didn't look as tough as they needed to be. That's the thought. That was a thought. And this regime has identified that. It's clear this regime thought that. They went and got tougher on the trenches. They're trying to continue to do that. They go and find guys that are going to bring a little bit of that attitude on the defensive side. And I think they're going to coach it that way too. And then, of course, you got Pacelli, who wants to play that way. He's going to think about that. And he watched it all up close last year. So it's always a tough spot to be in for me, because I'm not trying to tell you that these guys are wusses and soft guys and everything else. It's just that from a team standpoint, they didn't play with the toughness necessary to win big in the NFL. They just didn't. And they've got to find that. And whether that comes in the intangibly rich part of players or it comes in the coaching mentality, that's their job to figure out. But it needs to look different than it looked when it's 3rd and 1 and 3rd and 2. When your quarterback gets his head taken out and out for the season, and you're just sitting there playing regular football in the second half as a defense. Like, that's what they put on tape. Those are the things that they put on tape. So that's where you get the criticism of, holy cow, like, how was it only 28-23 against the Eagles? You figure that one would have been the 42-10. But that's also why you got your butt whooped by the Detroit Lions 52-6, because you couldn't play that style of ball. They could bully ball you. They wanted it more. They were playing faster than you, more aggressive than you. That's because they preach it, speak it, find the player like that. The Jags didn't have enough of that. And again, I always say it's not a one shot at any particular player, but Trevor Lawrence said the same thing on a microphone multiple times. So it's a thought, it's been identified, and now it's trying to be fixed. That's a really big statement on what he said about Jordan Lewis, because it's all encompassing, Hamby, that says more about this is what we need to breed here in this Jacksonville locker room.
It is, and Hamby's burner in the chat just pointed out that Jordan Lewis has already gotten after somebody on Twitter, and the chat's liking that, and I can confirm he's referencing the crazy stuff we saw with Micah Parsons and Lawrence yesterday. Obviously, if you haven't seen, DeMarcus Lawrence goes from the Cowboys, signs with the Seahawks. He's in his first interview. He says, I knew I was never going to win a Super Bowl there. That's why I'm here. And Micah Parsons was like, bro, that's the definition of pettiness, or whatever he said. It's kind of a summarization of it. He's like, you're petty. How do you know that you would have never won here, whatever, you're soft, whatever. DeMarcus Lawrence goes back and forth with him, all that, and said if you would have spent less time tweeting and more time winning, maybe I'd still be in Dallas. And so it's this whole thing. Jordan Lewis doesn't add it or anything like that, but he tweeted earlier this morning, quote, I use the internet, but not like that. And somebody replied to him and said, as a noted philosopher once wrote, say it in the street, that's a knockout. You say it in a tweet, that's a cop-out. And Jordan Lewis politely told that man to shut up with an extra word in there. Oh man, this is providing some good material here.
Yeah, he's again. They need a little bit more of that,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I think we've said it for months now. We said it all last year. This is a guy. I just thought that, like that again, another kind of newer phrase. I mean, not from never heard of, but that to say like doggedness, you get a visualization of that, right? There's an impression when you say that, and to me, when you say that, I think of players like Jalen Ramsey, quite frankly. I'm not telling that Jordan Lewis is Jalen Ramsey. I'm just saying he might play with that kind of edge. So we think we need more of that here in Jacksonville. Maybe he helps get it. Let's stay in the secondary a little bit more on Eric Murray here and what he says. They're really high on the season that Murray had this late in his career last year in Houston. And I think Murray, in his conversations, kind of showcase, hey, I've seen a lot. I've played a lot. I can play in a lot of different things. I can be used in a lot of ways. Once again, don't cookie cutter any of these guys. They're getting position versatility the way the NFL has gone, and obviously they are getting that here in Jacksonville as well. A little bit of a jack of all trades, but primarily we see him as a safety, and that's what Eric Murray is going to be. There's an interesting part of this quote, I hope we have it in here, from James Gladstone that I thought was once again pretty good on the elite communication side, even if it was somewhat elementary.
Yeah, I think the defensive backfield as a whole has gotten better with the addition of Jordan and Eric. And, you know, one of the things between the two of them is that their experience, their stability, it offers exactly what's needed on that back end. When you look at safety in particular, the root word there is safe. And that's exactly what Eric provides. And so we're excited to bring him into the ecosystem, and I know he's excited to take on a more notable leadership role than what he's had in previous years.
My man is breaking down the root word.
I love it. I love it. I mean, what have you, like, again, that struck me. Isn't that kind of funny how it strikes me? I don't know if I just care about people who can orate or whatever, but I thought that was fun. Like, it's like, well, yeah, I guess it is. Be safe back there. You don't need, there was an element of that. Think about Andre Sisco coming out of school. The thing about Andre Sisco, the book on him, is that he was very good at getting the ball. He's a ball-hawking guy. But with ball-hawking comes what? Chances. You have to be risky to do that. So when you're back there at that position and you're the last line of defense, the highlight guys, the guys that actually do earn big contracts, go get big-time plays, but that comes with a risk, which means you might give up some as well. Well, think about Sisco last year, and Sisco had a very disappointing last year in a contract season, but he's playing in a contract season. What does that mean? Oh, let me go get some stuff to add to my resume to go get paid big time. Probably a little part of his mentality in a big year. Go get some more picks, right? Make big plays. Well, what happened last year? Holy cow, did he get burned. I mean, he was just bad at times. And some of that was probably because he was not subscribing to the root word of safety. Like, that's all you're supposed to be able to be, that last line of defense, whether it's on a tackle, which we saw a missed one near the goal line, I remember, or the big plays that you just can't allow, beat over the top in a situation right at the rip with Tyreek Hill. Bad angles that he took multiple times, some plays that it just felt like the same play on a couple of different occasions in various games that he was giving up. So I think what I heard from Gladstone was, we don't necessarily need to be dynamic here. We need to be sound here. We need to know what we're going to get each and every play in each and every game. And that's what I heard. And that's where he threw the root word of safe in there, which, by the way, is another great way to kind of just simplify it for everybody else of what he's really trying to say. So I thought that was a pretty profound one as well. Let's keep rocking and rolling here. And we got just a couple more on Gladstone to finish this up. What do we got? Hainsey, the center, who comes with a little, so Hainsey, the center, comes with a little bit of criticism, right? He's like, well, why did he get benched? And why are you giving him a deal? And why is he going to potentially be the center? And Gladstone says something here. It's like, listen, I hear the noise. Like, I get it. It was almost like he acknowledged it. But he said, go watch this. Listen to what Gladstone has to say.
It was a massive priority, right? That's some weight off the shoulders of Trevor at the line of scrimmage that now, because of the familiarity from Robert, he doesn't have to bear as a quarterback. And, at the same time, Robert got one op to start this past season versus the New Orleans Saints. And I'd encourage anybody and everybody to watch that game and understand why it was a player of interest. Think about the intangible elements in the back of your mind as it relates to a performance on the field, and you'll see that clear as day in that game. Robert was not going to allow that opportunity. He didn't know how many he was going to get last season to make it so that by the time that pro free agency kicked off, that bell rang on Monday, that he was going to be given an op because somebody saw exactly what we did in him, and that's a player that does not quit. The whistle blows, and he's playing through it, and that's something that we really, really value.
All right, so you like that one there, Hamby? A couple of things going on with the Hainsey stuff. Hainsey also talked to Jaguars.com and sat down, and he was the guy that actually said, hey, if I'm not doing my job, like finishing plays, the effort, the everything else, like that's what he referenced. He didn't necessarily say like some guy beat me, but he's just like, if I'm not finishing, if I'm not like doing what's best for this football team on every play, text me, tweet me.
Add me on Twitter.
Like, let me know about it. So, like, he's got his own sense of accountability there. Now, does that make him an all-pro center? Probably not. But what's interesting about Gladstone is Gladstone's like, yeah, okay, he didn't play last year, but the one op that he did play, go watch the tape. You want to see what we saw? Go watch that opportunity. Maybe that kid in Tampa is pretty good, too, and that's why he's playing over him. But this guy can play here, and other people saw it, too. I thought it was he shed some light on that. Like, they weren't the only suitor, probably, for Hainsey in that department. Again, are they right? I don't know, but I like the transparency of saying, hey, go watch that game right there, and you'll find out that this dude's pretty good. So that was a whole, and again, we think the Hainsey pick is the total raise the floor definition here, because right now, with Mitch Morse retired, you have Luke Fortner on the squad. Mm-hmm. Luke Fortner didn't get it done in his first couple years. Who knows if you put him in right now, how much he's matured, gotten better, maybe would be okay. But I don't think the fan base wants to take a swing on that. So they go get this guy, and Hainsey kind of raises the floor of that, but also they saw that at least one game, and obviously some other things with the knowledge of Liam Cohen's offense that could help Trevor Lawrence. That was another big part of that soundbite, right? That could help Trevor Lawrence adapt to the offense, speak the same language, all those things are why they hired the staff the way they did. This is a raise the floor selection in free agency for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I'm not telling you that you should love it or he's going to be awesome. I just can see where they're coming from based off what Gladstone said yesterday at Jags headquarters. And don't sleep on the part of this whole, we want everybody, as many people on the staff, a center like that, to be on the same page as Cohen in this offense so we can get Trevor up to speed as quick as possible because we think we can make noise now. This is not a, hey, let's see what happens in 3 years. We think we can do it right now, get this guy playing well right now, educate him so he commands it. But even if he slips up somewhere in the huddle at the line of scrimmage, now you've got a guy that actually knows exactly what Cohen's looking for, especially early in the season, or maybe even it's a preseason thing or a practice thing. So there's a subtleness there that I think they've really put a plan together about the communication of this offense, about the principles of this offense, and they've stacked it up with teachers in terms of coaches, and now even with a guy like Hainsey in terms of a player that's snapping them the football. And by the way, that center is very important in all those communication things when it comes to the offense.
Yeah, and Hainsey actually, when he talks, he confirmed that, hey, there were multiple teams that were kind of in, and the difference was Liam Cohen, the relationship there, and he talked a lot about the belief that he has in Liam Cohen to be a successful head coach, and that's something that he wanted to be a part of, right? He referenced multiple times what we've referenced on this show multiple times, that Liam Cohen came in last year, had a plan at the onset of the season of how he wanted his run scheme, and looked at his offensive line and changed it. And that's what Hainsey said yesterday. He was like, well, if he can do that with them, that tells you about the type of football coach that he is, that he's actually, when he says he's going to put his players in the best position to succeed, he actually has done that. It's on, he can prove it. And, he's going to do the same thing in Jacksonville, right? So I just like hearing that Hainsey is comfortable, right? That was the difference from it wasn't the tax, it wasn't the sunny weather, it was the head football coach. And he believes in the head football coach and what the head coach is going to do, that he practices what he preaches, that he can really change things on the offensive line and get the Jags run game to where it should be.
Well, let's not oversell this, by the way, too. It's a great opportunity for Hainsey to play.
Well, yeah, he wants to play.
So he's going to have an opportunity to play, right? So, I mean, this is a starting opportunity, depending on what they do in the draft. If they go get a guy, I know a lot of people want that second-round center out of North Dakota State. Like, who knows what they do, but they don't have to do it if they like what they've got in this guy. I still believe that they will draft the center in this draft. It feels like they will, but maybe it doesn't get in the second round. Maybe it's one of the picks in the third round or something like that instead, where you don't have to prioritize it as much as another spot. Hey, let's do this, Amby. Let's take a timeout. I'm going to get Liv Tassley in here. She's got like a Friday Fit segment. We haven't done that in like a year. Austen just hasn't been here, so it's kind of hard to do. I wonder what she'll say about my shirt. Put a little Friday Fit up to the test on the shirt. And what else Liv is up to coming up in just a couple minutes. Gary Smits is going to join us, too. We'll give you an update on the leaderboard. Rory McIlroy got the 10 under. Beautiful day here at TPC Sawgrass. I feel like we almost have like a live studio audience here. Picnic tables all gathered around, people just hanging out. And if I yell loud enough, they can listen to the show. We'll be right back on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network, live from the Players' Championship. Don't forget, tonight on CBS 47 and Fox 30, 15-minute specials, 11:15. And you can see it on actionsportsjacks.com. And then Saturday and Sunday, Action Sports Jacks Prime Time. We got a half hour on the players and everything else going on in the world of sports on Action Sports Jacks Prime Time every Saturday and Sunday all year round. 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit. When you hear that, you think Bono's Pit Barbecue, a staple in Northeast Florida now for 75 years. A place that feels like home with friendly service. A meeting place for friends, family, or business occasions. On the menu, the corn nuggets are a favorite in our house, but there's something for everyone. Sandwiches, platters, salads, sides, desserts, and family feasts. You see Bono's all over the place in Northeast Florida. You know, there are almost 20 locations in the Jacksonville area now, so stop on by, sit down, and dine in with Bono's. You can also take it to go. There are drive-thrus in many of the locations, and they have delivery options too. Just download the Bono's app to make things easy. I signed up for the loyalty program, and you can too, to get special offers. If Jacksonville is home, few things feel more Jacksonville than Bono's Pit Barbecue. Celebrate 75 years and many more to come. Bono's Pit Barbecue. If you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
For the game day hustle and every day in between. Juggling my show, Jag Social, to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242. You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579. Action Sports Jax is the biggest brand in Jacksonville, and we're excited to add another partnership for this team's biggest season yet. Action Sports Jax 24/7 is now the official streaming network of the Jacksonville Sharks for their 15th season.
The Jacksonville Sharks are your champions.
It's the place we party in football season with Jaguars All Access. Welcome to Spring Sports Brewery, everybody. Say hello to our guest tonight. That is Trevor Lawrence. You can bring your party or event to Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield any day and any time. Rehearsal dinners, corporate events, birthdays. Here at Strings, you can enjoy the inside area and the outside area. Good for any weather, good for any occasion. Watch the games, play the games, shoot some hoops. Beer? Yeah, they have that. Plenty of choices. And sure, this is a brewery, but Strings is also a restaurant, and the food is fantastic. A full menu made from scratch meals. And if you need Spring Sports Brewery to help with a party at your place, they cater too. Family, beer, food, sports. Spring Sports Brewery in Springfield.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Balls in the water on 17, 11 of them on Thursday. A little bit surprising. I think there was one golfer ahead of 7. Put it in a couple of times. And then, do you see the Justin Lauer play where he hit it from the drop zone and hold out for a 3? Hey, if you can walk out of there with a par, it's a par. And he was able to do it. Kind of reminded you of Fred Couples in 1999 when he reteed it and jarred it, dunked it. You were here for that, Gary Smits. I was not.
I was here. I didn't exactly see the shot, but I never forget Fred's reaction to that when everybody went to the interview area. He wasn't leading the tournament. He wasn't in contention, but they requested him, and he comes out of the scoring area, and Anna Lear, God bless her, she was players communications. She went to Fred and said, the guys want to talk to you. And he said, about what? it didn't dawn on him. He like I said, nowhere near the lead. Why would you want to talk to me? And Freddie, 17, oh, okay. And he figured it out.
Well, that was just one of your 40 Players Championships. We'll get into a bit. But first of all, there's nobody. I think Kay Adams is out here and Gronk is out here. We got a lot of different people out here. There's nobody out here right now doing any kind of show that looks better than us in this shirt combo.
I kind of like it.
I mean, this is a good shirt duo right here.
Yes, I like it. Cole's had a good sale on one particular day. A shameless shout out. I'm a Laura Cole.
No problem.
Maybe they'll start advertising with you.
Maybe they will.
Yeah.
That would be good. So 40 of them, man. I mean, that's pretty incredible that you celebrate the 40th one.
Yeah, all that just means is I've been around a long time.
That's okay. That's okay. Wisdom, man. Wisdom.
Yeah, with 3 newspapers. The Clay Orange Park used to have a daily newspaper. I tell people, and they're floored by that. It came out Monday through Friday in the afternoon. And we had a pretty good circulation, especially among retired military who lived in Orange Park, because we could always get the West Coast baseball scores in the paper. So they go out their lawn about noon when it got delivered and everything.
That's pretty good.
The Dodgers fans could get their scores and everything. So there's a couple with them, and then 4 with the St. Augustine Record.
Okay.
And then a few. We used to have a system at the time, Union, when Chris Smith was a golf writer. Before me, we had a small army out here, and the schedule, I'd be out here Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, Sunday, and we were gonna. So it's been full time since 30 years. It's a full time Jaguar golf writer for the Times Union. So it's been enjoyable every step of the way. And you know, you've been here long enough to know what this means to the community. But this week and beyond, what this tournament does for charity, I mean, you feel that it's not just the second week of March; it's the impact this makes. You know, November when they figure out who's going to get the charity dollars, and the past chairman go out and they make so many people happy, do so much good work for people. And, you know, that really hit home when I got married in 2001, inherited a couple of beautiful stepkids, and the tour had a promotional video for the charity works, and they were filming some stuff at the Boys and Girls Club at Jack's Beach, and they filmed a bunch of kids playing, and my daughter's in the middle of it and everything. Cool. I said, okay, you know, you guys are doing something that really impacts me personally.
Yeah.
And that really felt good.
I got to believe somewhere along the way of 40 years of the players that they've probably done something that's impacted everybody, really.
Yes,
it's someone you're close to. So they have done such a fantastic job in that department. By the way, Gary's a little bit of a unicorn, not just because he always wears shirts like this, but also because, I mean, guys don't cover golf locally like you still do. That just doesn't happen in the newspaper.
You get out there.
Well, we do, but we don't cover it like you do. You really know it deeper than anybody else. But the job, the changing business doesn't allow for people to do that. And I'm sure you do a lot of that, by the way, on your own time and maybe your own dime, just out of the passion of what you've created and built. And a lot of people think golf, and they'll say, where's Gary Smith? So that's kind of cool.
Well, thanks. Appreciate that and everything. But your Dream 18 is a great concept. I remember maybe the guy that was a golf writer before me did something a little bit similar, but you took it and ran with it and then turned it into a charitable arm, and you know a lot of people get helped by that and everything. So I applaud you for that. And one of these days, if you have that when it's not football season, but it's always like a Monday in September, right?
Yeah, we always did. The reason I do it that way, and I know I listen, I second guess myself every football season too.
Yeah.
But I need all summer to put it together, so I can't put it together like this time of year to have it in May. It just wouldn't work.
What happens with Demetrius Harvey, our great Jaguars beat writer and everything, we have a little rotation, and he's either traveling or he wants a Monday off, and I cover for him on Monday at the Jaguars, so I can never do anything on Monday.
Well, you've been covering those Jags as well. We probably could talk about that, but let's talk about the golf here. Minwoo Lee has taken the lead along with Rory McIlroy. They're 6 under today. So I'm actually starting to see, Gary, the scoring I thought we would get yesterday early on. 6 under is fine. There was good scoring. I thought we might have somebody jump out to a 7, 8, or 9 even because the conditions were good. It actually is starting that way this morning instead, because McIlroy and Minwoo Lee are through 13 and 11. They're up to double digits at 11 under. J.J. Spawn at 10 under. Now we're really starting to see the scoring we expected.
Yeah, and you actually Bataya is right there, and then a little bit of a drop off, and then Billy Horsell, you know, our local guy.
Billy's 5th right now, which is really cool, but he's 5 shots back.
But he's going to be around for the weekend. Hasn't always happened for Billy.
He's not played well here.
Yeah, exactly. He's never had a top 10 here, so I think he's trending that way. But, you know, there was an odd stat yesterday in that the afternoon wave averaged a shot and a half better than the morning wave.
That is weird.
And it's usually the other way around, but we're getting this south wind. We're getting this wind that they had in May, and the north to northeast wind is what gets guys. Now, it's going to kick up tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, about the time the leaders tee off and everything, it's going to get really windy, so it should get interesting. But you know, Rory and Minwoo got the Mac and Min show out there right now. And, you know, that might be an entertaining final group if that is indeed that's the final twosome out there and everything, because you know Minwoo has become a little bit of a favorite out here, and I was asking some fans about that. I remember a couple of years ago
he was a hot story.
Yeah, exactly. And a couple of fans said, well, it's fun to say woo, okay? And then somebody else said, well, that cheesy mustache, he looks like a lot of guys in that show also. You know, Minwoo's still trying to make
Duval very well.
Yeah, Minwoo's still trying to make that work, and I applaud him for the effort. But he is a good player. The thing to remember about Minwoo Lee, he may be of Korean descent, but his parents moved to Australia when he was a very early age. Got the Australian accent and everything, and then he learned to play in the wind in Australia. So I'd watch out for him, especially the conditions do get a little bit tough.
That's interesting. That's a great point, too, because we start thinking of guys like Lowry or even Rory and those guys that have played in Europe a bunch that could handle some of that wind. That's a great point on Minwoo.
And Australian, and Minwoo, for all intents and purposes, is an Australian. And you know, think of all the Australians who won here.
Absolutely. Hey, give me a little something on Bud Cauley. We love the local story, right? And Bud, when I first got to Jacksonville, he was like this rising star coming out of Jacksonville, Alabama. Looked like he was going to be like the next big thing on tour from this area. And that didn't manifest, in part because of a bad car accident, right?
Yes.
I think that was a part of his journey.
It's the week of the Memorial, and if he's in the Memorial, he's playing good because it's an invitational field. So at the time, he's playing pretty good. And, the injuries, there's been some other injuries, too, and everything, so he's climbed back from that. And, he has some good moments. But, when he was a 14-year-old kid at Windsor Park, and he was the best junior player in town.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't play high school golf because he's playing so much national junior golf. He's always crisscrossing the country. And then got to Alabama, played very well for them. And, the great little trivia question about Bud Cauley is he would have really benefited from that PGA Tour University program they have now that Ludwig Aberg and Carl Phillips and Nick Gabrelsic from UNF got an access out there to the Corn Ferry Tour and the PGA Tour. But Bud got a couple of sponsor invitations to Corn Ferry Tour events. He would put up a top 10 or a top 20. Corn Ferry Tour, top 20 gets you in the next week. Then he'd play well the next week. Then he'd play well the week after that. All of a sudden, he's got full Corn Ferry Tour status, gotten a couple of PGA Tour events. Now he's got conditional status. So by the end of his that rookie year, 2010 or 11 or something like that, he's got a scorecard. And and the only other guys that did that prior to him were like Phil Tiger. Right? Phil Tiger didn't need it. But I think one of the Gary Hallberg might have done that. So it was very rare that he got his tour card, and he earned it every step of the way.
That's pretty cool.
But it's good to see Bud playing well again. He's a little guy, but he can hit it a long way. A very good putter, so I hope for the best for him.
Yeah, and
he's living down in Jupiter now.
Okay.
But we still, everybody still remembers Bud around.
Yeah, and then of course he's gonna have a lot of people out here this weekend. Hopefully he has a good round today, makes that weekend. But you said something which is kind of interesting. You can grow up in this golf world, and you end up if you grew up at Sawgrass Country Club or Timuquana or at Atlantic Beach. Grew up playing Windsor Park.
Yeah.
I mean, which is kind of cool, right? That's an element to this story that's kind of neat.
Public golf kid, and Mark McCumber was a public golf guy when he came up out of a Hyde Park. And, now David Duval may have learned how to play golf at Timuquana, but his dad was the club pro there.
Yeah.
So he wasn't he wasn't a Timuquana members kid who had everything handed to him and everything. David still had to work for everything he got.
Speaking of that stuff, you just mentioned guys, McCumber, David Duval, mentioned a Bud Cauley, the Miles Russell kid, the Mawhinney kid, the Dunham kid.
Yeah.
Just in you've done this for a long time around here. I mean, there's so much talk about that crop. Are we talking about that level player someday? I mean, we had Jack Oschenbach on the show yesterday. He said all those guys are going to be on the tour. They are going to be on the tour. Now, there's another level, right, to be able to be on the tour, play in events, and then be really good. Like David Duval ended up number one. That's going to be tough to top. But, I mean, those guys, it might be one of the most talented crops ever, right?
Yeah, it's trending that way. And you know what? These guys, I was talking to Len Matisse about this, and he said these guys have some advantages. For one thing, you've got the homeschooled aspect, which Miles and Philip Dunham are. And Len said when he was going to Nice, and maybe this time of year or in the winter, you're just counting the minutes down to 3 o'clock where you can get out of school. Then you got to drive 20 minutes to the TPC Sawgrass or Oak Bridge where you practice a lot, and you got an hour of daylight left maybe.
Yeah.
So now, these guys are up 6 in the morning to get their schooling done, and by all accounts, Miles and Philip Dunham, kids like that, they're really trending well in their education. That they're getting whatever they're doing at home. Their parents are doing very well by that. But they're getting out on the golf course, practicing and playing at 10:30.
Yeah, it's a good day.
And you have the fitness aspect. Len said, you try to be a little bit, but you didn't have the golf fitness, the well-rounded thing that guys have now. And that's a trend of golfers being athletes. Len was telling me, I like to think of myself as an athlete, and I had some other sports. David Duval played a little baseball. Jim Furyk was a very good junior high school quarterback. But they have all these advantages now that they didn't have maybe 20 or 30 years ago, and it's going to go into making them better players. Now, you got to go to college. Tyler Maywini is going to go to Vanderbilt. Miles Russell, hasn't really made a decision yet, to my knowledge, but he's still got a couple of years, right, before he can do that. So we'll see. And there are more cautionary tales, let's say, than there are successful tales.
That is true
in golf, and that's true no matter where you are. There's always some hot junior player, hot college player thought he was going to be in the tour and just never quite made it. We had a kid named years ago, that Tryon kid from Orlando.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Got his tour card when he was 18.
Yeah.
Ty Tryon got his tour card when he was 18. He was off the tour in about a year and a half.
That's a great point. I forgot about him.
The last thing I heard, he was still running the family floor tile business in Orlando.
Really? That's funny. I remember that name. You're right about that.
Yep.
That felt like a Tiger Woods, next Tiger Woods kind of name. And there's so much that goes into it. And there's so much competition.
Yeah.
I mean, the competition's crazy.
Then you get another local guy, but the caddy for a long time caddy for Webb Simpson.
Paul Tesori?
Paul Tesori. Good golfer at St. Augustine High School, good golfer at Florida. Got his tour card off season, gets in an accident, hurts his shoulder, was never really the same again. And he's on a very good career as a caddy.
Absolutely.
He's caddy for
and he's still a very good player.
Yeah, very good player. He and his wife do so much for charity.
We're actually going to hear from Paul a little bit later on in the show. Caught up with him this week at the All-Star Clinic. All right, hey, let's leave you with this. By the way, scoreboard update: Minwoo Lee 11 under, Rory McIlroy 11 under, JJ Spawn 10 under, Batia, Horschel. Batia's at 9, and then there's a drop off, like Gary said. Horschel, Scheffler, Morikawa, Fowler, Lucas Glover at 6 under. Those are some names now. There's some names to keep an eye on, but you got to go get it right now because it's coming back a little bit on Saturday and Sunday. You're not going to see that kind of scoring with the way the wind is going to be up. It's going to level off. So where people fit after this 36 holes on Friday going to be very important to be able to get what you can right now. Let's finish up with this. Did you see that your buddy Gardner Minshew ended up going to Kansas City to back up Patrick Mahomes? Wow. I wonder what he'd be calling you these days.
That's a good question. We'll have to look up who the Kansas City beat writers are and see if they think, wow.
I assume everybody knows the story, but the story is Gary would ask questions and Minshew would always call him something different.
Well, because the first 2 times I interviewed Gardner, I called him the wrong name. I had Senior Moments, and instead of Gardner, the first time I said, hey, Garrett. I don't know why. And then one time I called him Garrison. I don't know what was in my head at that time. So I told him after the second time, I said, dude, there won't be a third, I promise you. And then he got me back because it was after the Broncos road game and he won. Remember that pass to Raquel Armstead?
Oh, yeah.
And I remember Raquel Armstead, but I couldn't remember Gardner Minshew. But I asked him about that, and he says, well, Barry. And then he gets a smile on his face like that. And then it got on social media, and then it became and I'll never forget, towards the end of the season, my editor wants me to do a story on it. I don't want to make the story about me. And I know you really, because people are talking about this, and it's been viral. So I talked to Gardner, and he talked about just having a little fun and that kind of. And then I remember I turned the tape recorder off, and I said, Gardner, thanks for the time. And he told me, Gary, he said, and he's calling me Gary. He said, Gary, thanks for being a good sport.
Yeah.
And the only thing I can think of to say is, boy, how could I not with that guy? He's, and I hope for the best for him.
Oh, it's good. I mean, that was such a fun moment.
Wouldn't it have been great if Gardner had turned out to be that guy as far as quarterback talent and everything, and he's going to be like Brad Johnson. He's going to have C.J. Beathard. He's going to have a very long career as a backup. And you know what? We're going to wake up one morning. There's going to be a news release that he's been hired as the quarterbacks coach at Alabama. Yeah. And I think he's going to be a good coach one day.
You're right. You said, I mean, listen, he's gotten so much out of his gifts. I mean, he's a little undersized, obviously, but he's a really smart guy, and he's already done. My wife just said it yesterday. She's like, "Man, he's made a lot of money in the league. He's done really well in the league. Not everybody makes that, and he's going to keep making money." To your point, I always say this. I've been to his hometown in Brandon, Mississippi, and he's such a character. And that part, the beauty about the thing with you is that was Minshew. That's Minshew in his genuine nature. Yes, right. So it was real. It was authentic. But I've always said someday I want to go do a story on Minshew in like 20 years because he's going to be riding a tractor at some high school field cutting the grass. That's how simple he is too. Like once he's out of it all,
it could be that.
I think he's a simple guy.
But you know what? Remember we talked about one time about he went to 3 colleges and he had all these different offensive coordinators, and then a couple of changes with the Jaguars, and he mastered every step of the way. He mastered the offense. He was also a 4.0 grade point average. He went to Troy, went to a junior college, got his degree in 3 years at East Carolina. So the guy he's a smart dude.
Yeah, he is.
And I think he's going to be a great coach.
Gary Smith's 40 years at the Players' Championship. Great to see you, man.
Okay.
Great shirt. We're going to have Olivia Tassley jump in here, and she can grade your shirt, actually. So maybe hand off the mic to her if you don't mind.
Don't be too tough on me. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Good to see Gary Smith's Florida Times Union, and follow all his golf coverage. Does great stuff for all the golf in the area. Not just the players, by the way, even at the local amateur level. If you want to know something going on or the history of golf here, you go ask Gary Smith. So appreciate him taking some time. Liv, give me a live update here. Are we doing a noon shot? I'm trying to digest this in the middle of the show.
Yeah, you'll probably be doing a live hit in the middle of the show.
I'm probably doing a live hit again on CBS 47 right in the middle of the show. So we will do that.
Do you want video? Probably not.
Well, we can't really take video right now while it's going on.
So
maybe a leaderboard.
Leaderboard. We can do a leaderboard.
Like, we don't have any early sound unless we want to go back to yesterday's sound.
Which is
we'll figure it out. We got about 12 minutes to figure it out.
Behind the scenes of building a live shot.
Yeah, this is like...
Hammy, you got to produce it.
Good gracious,
really
man.
Like, this is real time. Like, I'm getting texts like, what are we going to put in? Like, I don't know. Like, we
can't
how about
do
just
much.
take me in my nice shirt live for a little bit?
No problem.
What do you think about the shirt, Liv?
I think it's good. I think it's subtle. Like, it's nice. It's not overpowering.
I like the shirt, too.
It's a
It
good
feels
shirt.
good.
It looks like it's nice and light.
I'm not usually this guy either.
You're
so, like,
not,
this
which
is
is
like
why
the
I'm
only
surprised.
one that I wear that I like it like this.
Yeah, this is usually the Brent Martineau.
Yeah, usually got the quarter zip, and I'll probably put that on for the noon live shot, quite frankly.
You probably will.
So branding is important. What do you think about Gary's shirt? Gary wears that all the time now. That's him.
It's fitting, so it's fine. I mean, he's living his life out here, and you can't get much better than basically like a golf Hawaiian shirt at TPC Players.
It is. You definitely aren't suited up here at TPC Sawgrass. Hamby, what you got?
If I'm planning on heading out there for a few hours, is this acceptable, Liv?
Let's see. Oh, yeah.
It's
kind of like a Brent Martineau shirt. It's subtle, but with designs on it. I like it.
Okay.
Hamby, I get it. You just want to be like me. That's not a bad thing, man. Just keep trying.
In
keep
your
trying.
dreams.
Even got to dress like me at 24 years old. So, hey, Liv, what are you bringing to the table? Liv's going to do. Liv does Liv's list sometime.
I'm all over the place.
But yeah, we got emojis that we're ready to break out. But we've been all over the place. We're going to settle this thing down. Liv will join the show on more occasions. Olivia Tassley, by the way, with Action Sports Jacks. But you got like kind of a little Friday fits with us, and you got some things that you've surfaced.
Yeah, so I was out yesterday looking at the people watching with the camera. And Hamby, I think you have a video, if I'm correct. Let's show the video one first, because this.
Oh, wow.
This squad, you could see.
America.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably see them from across. I mean, there's trees in the way, but these people are very noticeable.
They should go to the Ryder Cup.
I liked it.
Squad
rolls deep. These are the type of people that are going to wear matching T-shirts on a cruise.
At Disney.
Yep.
Yeah.
Austin would hate this.
I liked it.
Austin would really hate. Austin would be not as friendly as you're being right now to this. Although you got to be a little careful. I mean, we're talking America. After all.
I mean, you can't
go wrong with that.
This guy went full send on a caddy suit. Handshake bets only. Going around the course, making bets with people. I mean, it was awesome.
Look at he got fist bump.
He is, yeah.
I actually thought that said initially, this is my eyes going bad, it said handsome bets. I'm trying to figure it out. Like, handsome bets? What does this even mean? Handshake bets.
Handshake
and the
bets
guy's in full caddy uniform.
Full caddy.
I actually saw a kid this morning in full caddy uniform, too. It reminds me of guys that used to would come out and cover the Players' Championship or golf events, and they're, instead of wearing sneakers, they wear golf cleats or golf shoes. If you're a golf shoe guy covering the golf events, you're taking it a little bit too serious.
Hey, I think if you're going to go full send, you got to go full send, right?
So were those some of the best you saw? I mean,
those were the two best, and then Stewart had to get, of course, Ricky. Not bad. I mean, he's giving Gary Smitter vibes.
Yeah, he is. Jason Day, by the way, is a guy that he wears some weird stuff, but he withdrew yesterday. Mm-hmm. So like his attire in the last couple of years has been so odd. Just some goofy stuff where he never did that before. He won the Players' Championship, but it's just been like a recent rebirth of kind of like, what is he wearing today? And Jason Day has a little bit of that. This is a great place to people watch.
Oh, 1,000%.
I mean,
That's what
there's
I'm
the
gonna go do
airport and
today.
there's TPC Sawgrass during Players Week.
Yeah, I'm going to go sit on 17 with a Sawgrass splash after this, and people watch.
Yeah, Liv is not working today, so you won't see her on TV. Just preface that about the Sawgrass.
I don't know if you want a live look or something. I don't know. I can finagle something.
What else did you say? You had something else. The new era hats that are out.
Yeah, so we have the baseball hats, but I want to show you this one because you were speaking about the caddies and little kids. So, Hamby, do you have the picture of this one little girl? So she just had a baby brother, and the family got a caddy suit for him, and she's getting it signed by all the players for her little brother. So wholesome content here at the Players.
Very cool.
Yep, the brother couldn't come. He's very fresh, as I was told.
Not good enough for the golf course. Reminds me of the time we brought our kids to the Bausch and Lomb when they were 2.5 years old. We just moved here. We went to Amelia, and they had like Maria Sharapova and all the big players. They had the tennis event up in Amelia, and we bring the kids. We got tickets or something through the station, so we go up to that. It's a big tennis event up there. No longer exists, but we get there. We're sitting in the bleachers. It's Steph and I, Tyler and Kaylee at 2.5 years old, and we realize we're like, it is really quiet in here, and we've got twin 2.5-year-olds. Like,
probably
why did we take them here? Of course, we didn't know anybody. We had just got here, so I was like, why did we take them? Those people were a lot smarter.
Yeah,
they didn't take them here. And by the way, you could have a crying kid in this crowd.
Yeah,
it's not totally quiet.
Yeah, just walk away
for the golfers.
For sure. So I thought that was the wholesome content we find here at the Players Championship. All right. Trending topic number 1, because Stuart and I were cracking up about this yesterday, right before his live shot at 6 o'clock. These hats.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Don't like them?
Terrible.
No. Do you see what it says? Like, some of these just...
do more say like this?
More or worse.
Oh, worse than that?
Worse than that.
Oh.
Right, you want one that's
there's
worse?
Two things going on here. The design part...
I want the worst one.
The design part of this is like...
Doesn't make sense.
It's like somebody messed up Photoshop, where you put like layer on layer on layer, and they forgot to take one off.
Yeah.
Like you can't even. Why would you still have the T and the R on there?
It makes no sense.
It doesn't make sense, and then it really wouldn't make sense if you just had the ASHOS. We could do a lot with that right there.
Where's Austen when you need him?
So where are the other ones?
Okay, so
are we allowed to show this? Yeah, I think we
are.
can.
Okay, so if you read this in Spanish,
very good.
This is good to live. This is good by you.
Thank you.
I'll choose not to say anything else, so I don't get myself in trouble.
They say it's gone viral for all the wrong reasons.
Well, maybe they got something out of this.
Some of them are actually good.
Okay.
But I will say the viral runs are the reason why it's going.
Just for a little bit.
One more. Let's see it. Yeah. This is the one that Stuart was just like, oh.
This one actually took me a minute.
It takes you a minute.
I'm like trying to do the wordplay here.
Yeah. And
this
so
is amazing.
I had to sound it out. And then, of course, I'm saying it here at TPC Sawgrass.
Let's not do this together. How about, please do not sound it out.
Learned my lesson.
So are they going to discontinue this stuff, or are they rolling with it?
I don't know if they're going with it. I haven't seen a business update. But what's wild to me is, like, these have to go past so many different eyes.
Yeah.
So, like, you go from the design team to the manufacturer team to, like, the people who approve this, and it went all the way.
Yeah, it's kind of like the guy, the Illinois guy with the upside-down sign banner.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, how did that happen?
How
like,
does it get this far?
How did we get to that? So that's good stuff, Liv. I kind of want one now.
Like I said, some of them are not bad.
Can we play off the Jags somewhere in there? I bet we can.
I think so.
I bet we can.
It won't be a bad word, quote unquote.
Maybe not.
If I'm thinking about it in my mind, but I'm not going to sound it out.
It depends. I mean, we use multiple languages in this one.
That's true.
So we could maybe get there.
Yeah.
I wonder what they're saying about that on Telemundo today.
Yeah. Hammy, do you have the picture of all of them?
Oh,
it might
shoot.
Be too
I forgot
small,
this one.
Because some of them are good. Oh,
there's another one.
We forgot one. Oh.
What the heck?
See, I didn't even see
that's
this one.
Real? That's real? Like, this isn't something that's just, like, on Twitter?
That's
not
real,
a meme?
bro.
Like, that's a real hat you can buy?
Yes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
that's the 950 snapback hat.
That is wild.
See, now, if they retract
Maybe we should put this in the noon show.
I'm just saying, if they retracted the people who have these hats now, I mean, they're going to be worth something, I feel like.
That is wild. That's good stuff. Good stuff, Liv. All right, Liv, go get a Sawgrass splash. We're going to try to figure out how we're going live on CBS 47 at noon.
Okay.
All right.
Let me know.
Hamby, let's do this. I want to take a timeout so we can figure this stuff out. And there's a really good chance that you're going to have to play host for a little bit while I do that noon hit. But we got plenty to work around. And then we'll come back, give you an update on the Players' Championship and obviously a little bit more on the Jags because we have more. We also have that Paul Tesori interview that we could get to while I'm on TV, Hamby, as we produce this on the fly. Thanks for being patient. You're all part of the show. You're part of our team. If you want us to do something, just let us know. If you have a suggestion, just let us know. We might do it today. It is Friday, after all. Great picture there. Hopefully she got a lot of autographs for her baby brother. Let's take a break. Players' Championship scoring good right now. Update the leaderboard when we come back on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. It's a Friday at the Players on the Brent and Austen Show.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game.
For 60 years, the Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet has provided competitive events, and we're also happy to provide scholarship opportunities too. Join us for the annual Hall of Fame Gala March 13th at the Potter's House and at the James Day Middle School Meet at UNF March 14th.
There they go.
And don't forget the annual Bob Hayes Track and Field Meet at UNF Saturday, March 15th. Get tickets and info at bhitm22.org. For vendors and partnerships, call 904-222-1075.
Baker Sports is local sports. Uniforms from Pop Warner and Little League to travel ball, high school, and college. They make you look good. They help you play good. Baker Sports has been helping families make memories that will last a lifetime with their Baker's Buckets. We've got a lot of these filled with baseballs and softballs in the garage. I've been throwing batting practice to Ty and Kaylee for years and also sit on the Baker's Bucket, catching Kaylee while she practices her pitching. Baker Sports is homegrown, and a lot of employees that used to play on local ball fields now work for Baker Sports, now helping you look good, play good, and make memories of your own. Visit Bakersport.com to see what Baker Sports can do for you. Custom apparel, Nike, Under Armour, Adidas, embroidery, screen printing, and more. Baker Sports. is local sports. From Jacksonville to anywhere in the Southeast, Bakersport.com.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic. From bumper to tailgate, I'm making this truck mine. It's everything that I wanted and more. From the field to the gym to weekend adventures. This truck's built for my journey. Bozard Built. Customized for your lifestyle, built to exceed your expectations. Check out the inventory and available options at bozardbuilt.com. Unleash your dream ride. Customized, covered, and Bozard approved.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show. You are looking at the leaked edition of the new College Football 26 Deluxe Edition, that is. And if you're wondering why the quality is so bad and there's not any color, it is because this is a leak. This is a picture taken off of a computer that was screenshotted, sent out. And if you are a college football fan like I am, you will find it interesting that we have Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, two stud receivers, right next to Reggie Bush and Kirby Smart. DJ Lagway is also in there. James Franklin, Kenny Dillingham, Garrett Nussmeier, some of the other guys in there. One player right behind Reggie Bush that's never played a snap of college football in his life, Bryce Underwood, the star quarterback, up-and-comer at the University of Michigan. And one notable guy that was left out, that would be Arch Manning. So, you know, look, it's an interesting one, but there's your sneak peek. Wanted to give you a live update on the scores out at TPC. Minwoo Lee still in the lead at 12 under. Rory McIlroy right there with him. 11 under. JJ Spawn, Akshay Bhatia, and Colin Morikawa now tied for 5th. Fowler, I believe, dropped a shot to go down to the 6th spot, but he's right there as well. Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, featuring neither Brent nor Austen. We'll get right back to Brent out at the players very shortly as he does a hit for the new newscast. You can see him right there. There's Brent doing his thing. And so he'll be back with us shortly. Austen out in Montana getting some snowboarding in. If you saw on his social media, he's ripping it out there. So if you haven't seen it, go check that out. He's doing his thing. And you love to see that. Much needed, much well-deserved from Austen out there. As we get back to the Jags, as a focal point of our Friday, along with the players, we've been talking and taking you through some James Gladstone sound from yesterday at his press conference. He talked a lot of the players that we signed, the Jags signed, talked. Mullins, Lewis, he talked. Murray, Hainsey, and one more. Makari spoke as well. So a lot of the big signees talked yesterday. And as we took you through a lot of the Gladstone comments in the first hour of the show, we talked a lot about the differences, right? And how it's just so different than what we're used to with Balky. And first of all, just the fact that he's speaking and talking through all of these things, and there's even just like extra access, and even the stuff that the Jaguars are doing a great job of putting on social media and all that. That's one thing. But the fact that, he's given us all of these, all of this meat. That's just not buzzwords, just not filler, just not, hey, I'm here because I have to. I'm not really going to give y'all anything, but I'm actually going to try to let you in on the process even just a little bit. Let you know my explanation. Let me know my thinking and my reasoning just a little bit is beneficial. And the one soundbite that we've mentioned but yet have not gotten to fully yet is what Gladstone had to say at the very end about the D-line, right? Because as we've mentioned all this week, we didn't know if they'd necessarily be done. They signed 9 on Monday, but there's still quite a few guys out there. Normally, teams will get started on Monday, do the bulk of their signees on Monday, and then later on in the week, they could reevaluate some things and go out and get another guy. That was my hope, and we've talked about that of, look, let's go get another veteran edge guy, a veteran defensive lineman, because last year it was Josh Allen, it was Trayvon Walker, and it was nobody else. As we mentioned, Roy Robertson Harris was the leading sack getter on the football team through week 17 with 3, and he was traded halfway through the year. Okay, that says all you need to know. So he was asked, hey, is that still a possibility to go get another veteran edge guy right behind Josh and Trayvon? Could we see something like that? And this is what he had to say yesterday in response.
Yeah, we got 10 picks in this year's draft. We're going to have some spots that are actually open for them to insert. So, if you add a veteran at this point, could be just standing in the way. We're going to allow these rookies to, get a chance to get out on the field and help us this coming fall.
All right, so a quick sound bite there as we welcome back Brent Martineau. Brent, I might need you to turn down me in your headphones real quick if you are able to. I don't know if that was changed because of the news. I know, look, as you mentioned, behind the scenes, we're juggling a lot of things here. But back to Gladstone. Look, the defensive line is one thing. I think I'm curious, and I love to hear that, hey, the guys that he drafts, he expects to play right away and make an impact right away. He's not just playing them to play them. These are guys that he believes are actually going to help the football team right away. However, when I think about the depth that I would envision for the football team, how is he going to find that many guys that early? Because I feel like we have a lot of bodies there. We have a lot of guys that can do certain things, but I was hoping to get multiple guys to be able to swap in and out to fill that snap count, to play every spot, every position, and be able to impact when Josh and Trayvon are not on the field.
Well, yeah, listen, there's a couple of things going on here with how this sets up. And what I would simply ask is, and this is a question I've asked for many years around the way the Jags were built, okay, and what their expectation was versus what they drafted, is where would you play those guys? Who are they beating out? So everybody was talking about for like a Tank Bigsby and the Brenton Strangers of the world. It's like, okay, where did you want them to impact in year one?
Right.
I mean, they were picked in the second, third round, sure, but were they supposed to outperform Travis Etienne and outperform Evan Ingram? That wasn't realistic. The Jags were pretty set up in what they wanted to do. Now, was that good enough? Obviously, it hasn't been, but the idea was, what were you going to get better? Well, Anton Harrison, obviously, he comes in and plays, and then obviously Brian Thomas Jr., he comes in and plays. You have spots, but after that, the frustration for the second, third, fourth round pick, it's like, well, what did you expect? Like, what were they supposed to supplant on the roster and be able to contribute? So I would ask that same question right now as we see the roster and where it's built. Nobody's going to play over Trayvon Walker or Josh Hines-Allen. Now, those are rotational positions. You can get depth, but nobody's going to get the majority of snaps over those guys. I would ask a bit about the same, and this is where I kind of go back to Mason Graham. Is Mason Graham playing over Eric Armstead or Mason Smith at the moment? Is he automatically going, boom, into that spot? I don't necessarily think so. The cornerback is intriguing because, okay, Jarian Jones, but do we know enough about him on the outside? What if you got an exceptional talent at number 5? That guy can come in, play from day one, and you can trust that. See, I think that's a hole that could possibly come in and start from day one. The other day one starter that you jump right in and say you can pencil him in is a receiver. Mm-hmm. So if you don't take corner or receiver, then what are you doing in terms of playing time for that 5th overall pick? The 5th overall pick in the draft has to play. Mm-hmm. The 5th overall pick has to contribute a bunch. But is it okay if the 5th overall pick is Mason Graham and he's playing, 35 snaps a game? And is he definitely going to beat out Eric Armstead playing on the interior or Mason Smith going into year 2? Like, that's what you have to ask yourself. And it's not just for that pick. You then have to ask yourself for your 2nd-round pick, your 3rd-round picks, these 10 picks, who's coming in and making a difference right away for this football team? And I would suggest at the moment you have receiver as a possibility for that, corner as a possibility for that, edge depth certainly will get snaps here. So that is definitely a possibility in the second or third round, I think, because that player will make an impact right away in year one. I think you could suggest that another tight end could play a role. The center, could he beat out the current center? Maybe. Just happened in Tampa. But, like, where safety?
Yep.
Have they solidified that? Darnell Savage, Antonio Johnson, maybe a safety's able to. So, again, we can all have these debates. We can go position by position, but it's like, where are they going to take a guy in the second round and third round, and those guys are going to contribute from day one? These are some similar questions that we've had about the Jags roster for a couple of years and drafts for a couple of years. How much impact are you going to get out of the draft in year one? So for some folks, that's very important. I'm not necessarily in that camp. I think the first-round pick has to play like they've done the last couple of years and impacted. I'm not necessarily in love with the guy being a huge impact in the third round or fourth round, as long as the guy in front of him is playing better. But that's a little bit more where, like, Philadelphia and teams like that are. Like, when they draft the guy in the second, third round, they don't automatically step in from day one and play. Look at a couple of those Georgia guys. They have actually developed over the last couple of years, now seen more playing time.
Especially Jordan Davis.
Who am I thinking of? Who's the Nolan Smith?
Yeah.
Nolan Smith, right? I mean, look at him come on here in the second half. What's he drafted 2 years ago now?
Yep,
is that right?
2 years.
So a couple years back. But he wasn't doing that right away. And I don't know if they were saying anything about him in Philly, like, oh, what the heck, we're not getting anything out of Nolan Smith. But, well, boy, you got something out of Nolan Smith now the back half of this year. So that's part of it as well as you continue to develop these guys. It's more important, really, for, let's just say you drafted Mason Graham. It might be more important for Mason Graham to really be a difference maker next year when Eric Armstead's gone than this year. In theory, okay? I'm not sitting here telling you that he can't play better than Armstead. But Armstead, back at his normal spot, has a nice resume. And if he's got game left in him, like a Calais Campbell has proven to have game at that age, then Eric Armstead can be a good player for you on the interior. And Mason Smith is a developing player. So, again, these are questions that you just have to ask, like, where's the impact right away? And remember, these guys come with no guarantee. You know way more about the guys already on your roster than you know about the ones coming in trying to make an impact on your team in year one.
Yeah, look, you're 100% right about the guy that you have to play, or the guy that you draft in the first round has got to play right away. However, if there's ever a spot where the guy can come in and play amongst others and not have to beat out a guy necessarily right away, it is the defensive line. I wanted to look back on last year's snap counts on the defensive line, and I looked at the last 5-6 weeks of the season after the bye, after Roy Robertson Harris was traded, and you have 4 guys, Devon, Eric, Jeremiah Ledbetter, and Mason Smith. They all played between 40 and 63% of the snaps every single game. It was pretty almost equal, kind of, like, for example, week 13, just picking a random one. Devon plays 53%. Eric Armstead plays 52%. Jeremiah Ledbetter, it was down that one before relative to everybody else. He played 28%, and Mason Smith played 67%. So, if you slide in, and obviously we believe Armstead would get more snaps right in the interior than last year, but he did play some at the end of the year, in and out. So you don't necessarily have to beat out anybody. Not to say that we wouldn't have confidence in them too, but even if you did have to beat out, you're beating out Jeremiah Ledbetter. Or you're competing with snaps with Devon Hamilton, Devon Hamilton, Ledbetter, Armstead, and Mason Smith. Like, immediately on week 1, you can get 40% of the snaps. And that's about average, right? As you get up to speed, like, Devon Hamilton never played more than 68% of the snaps. Ledbetter never played more than 58%. Mason Smith played 67 was his high. Or 72%, I missed one. So immediately, no matter what, a defensive tackle, a defensive interior lineman is going to get playing time, even if he's not the starter, right? And I want to follow that up with edge. Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen, obviously your 2 guys, right? But this was our big issue, and this is what I hope that Gladstone prioritizes is in weeks 13 to 16, Tyler Lacey was playing 40% of the snaps because he was the 3rd guy. Okay, well, we can find, like, no slight, but there's an upgrade there. there is an upgrade there. And that's a guy that's playing 40% of the snaps. Those are meaningful snaps. Those are in the second half of football games when we need to stop. Yasir Abdullah was behind that. He was playing about 15, 20% at times. There was a couple weeks where he played more, but that's probably his average, right? And then you had nobody else other than those two behind Josh and Trayvon. So wherever you go, there's a lot of snaps to be had on the defense, whether that's the first round guy, that's the interior, maybe a Mason Graham, or third round, you follow that up with the edge, and he's automatically competing with Tyler Lacey as the guy who's going to get 40% of the snaps. That's meaningful.
Yeah, listen, I think everything you said about the D-line in particular takes a little pressure off the organization and actually the incoming player, because you know you're going to see them on the field. And unless there's an eye-popping situation, you won't really question how much that guy's playing, because it's going to be enough in a rotation of a defensive line with the 8-man rotation that you'll play. So I think that part is right on, and that's why the safer play is, let's just say it is an Abdul Carter or it's Mason Graham, which everybody kind of thinks it's going to be. So, I mean, even then, though, Carter's kind of like, okay, well, how do we get him on even more? Like, can you get him on as much as you need to or want to get him on? Or if he's because of a potential injury guy, can you take your time with a player like that? Much like, who did that? Tennessee. Jeffrey Simmons. Jeffrey Simmons, I don't think played that entire first year. They took that, but they were like, oh, look, we know this guy's a good player. We're going to get value. Now, they got him later in the first round, I think it was, because they got the value out of that since he was injured. But it really paid off, and it continues to pay off for them. He's really been a heck of a player for the Tennessee Titans. So could they view him something like that in terms of an Abdul Carter maybe, where he plays a little later on in the season? Or do you get a Mason Graham and you're like, you play him X amount of snaps and you're like, well, at least we see him on the field. That's good, and hopefully he makes an impact when he's on the field mixing in, whether it's Mason Smith or Eric Armstead. But to go back to the original question, when you sit there and say, okay, what guy can you pencil in for almost every snap on offense and defense, and he's a regular starter, there really aren't a lot of positions that you're going to say, even at number 5, to say, that's the guy. He's going to play here. I really think it screams wide receiver more than anything, and maybe cornerback, but I'm just not sure they're going to take a corner at number 5, given this draft and who's out there, but also their situation with Jarian Jones and their picks. You can always find a corner like later in round 2 or even 3. So it'll be very interesting to see how they do this and what they explain. There will be some logic behind it at the end of the day. I believe that. I believe you'll be able to put the pieces together and figure out what they're thinking. But again, sitting here after free agency and 6 weeks away from the draft, how can receiver not be in play, given the fact that it doesn't look like they're chasing Cooper Kupp? And they do have some unknown commodities. Back to yesterday's conversation with De'Ami Brown, you might like the piece, but you don't know. You might like the Gabe Davis piece or might not, but you really don't know what he's going to give you. Man, you can know what Brian Thomas is going to give you now. And it would be nice to pencil in another young hotshot wide receiver if you think he's that talented to go along with Trevor Lawrence. I'm telling you, man, I've been saying it now the last couple of days, and more I think about this. Receiver makes a lot of sense. Receiver very much in play, I would think, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The only thing that really hides me from that thought or shades me from that thought is the fact that they're really targeting the trenches, and you know this regime wants to get physically tougher, which then also would scream, go get me a defensive lineman along the way.
Yeah, it would. And so, to me, I'm hoping / wondering what their desire is and how interested they would be into doing something that Balky kind of did, and we almost thought he might do last year, is trading up back into the back half of the first round if they would take somebody at number 5. Or even if they trade back a couple of picks, would they be interested? Because as I see it, you have 3 big needs, as you kind of mentioned. Interior D-line, where you want a starter. Receiver, you want a starter. Corner, you want a starter. But that's also, if you were to do that your first 3 picks and stay put at where you are, you've also neglected the offensive line, which we know is a big priority for you, which you've already said you're going to go add pieces. Would they be content with making those additions and planning the future of their O-line in rounds 4, 5, and 6? Or would it be worth it to them to trade up at one point, get an extra pick so that one of those can be a second or third round or even a back half of the first. I think that's what I'll be kind of keying in on and see if we can't maybe make a prediction in that regard.
I always think this is fascinating, right? When we're going to do this, so we got Shock Your Mock coming up over the next couple of weeks and months and everything else. And I just think it's fascinating that we feel like we know this football team. One nice thing about the football team out there listening and watching, and the nice thing about Gladstone and this regime, Cohen, they have acknowledged that a couple of times. You know the football team. They are telling you, you know
the holes.
And so, yeah, you know the holes. What did he say today? He's like, fans can see, go watch, I think he said about Hainsey, right? Like, we know you know what it looks like when it's good. Go watch this game. So, like, that's pretty cool, by the way. Like, they're acknowledging that. That's part of transparency. But my point is, if we can sit here and have a debate, and there's a poll out there, if we put it out, and 5 people want Graham and 5 people want Tet McMillan, or 3 people want McMillan and 2 people want Travis Hunter, and they're all available at number 5. In those fascinating conversations, you can sit there all you want and say, okay, it's not a wrong decision. We like all 3 players. That's what they do. That's what they do to feel better about it. But there's still most of the times they right and a wrong answer here. A right and a wrong answer to what the player is going to be, who's going to be even better, and who's going to be a better puzzle piece for your situation and elevate your football team. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, again, I don't think I was leaning receiver as much. Like, I knew receiver wasn't playing. I even threw out Travis Hunter's name a few weeks ago when I thought, okay, who would they pick right now? This was before free agency. I really just am starting to feel like receiver is even more in play than ever before, just because of what I see in the puzzle piece fit of what they could have and maybe are missing at the moment. So, I mean, they have left a spot for a stud receiver, and they got rid of one now. Let's go do the simple things here with the Christian Kirk move to the Houston Texans. Texans got better, adding a good player. Jags lost a good player. And when Christian Kirk's been out, they have not been that great. Isn't that the piece that they have to kind of go replace? And is De'Ami Brown the full answer there? Might be part of the answer, but can he be the full answer? I don't think so. So receiver is really starting to play in my mind so much more just based off that simple logic. And again, I think we can have debate about a lot of different stuff here. Hey, let's do this. Take a time out so we get back on track. We got a couple of them to get in. Paul Tesori, I want to get to that conversation a little bit later. We welcome a new partnership into the show as well. I got a little bit more to tell you about all weekend, what's happening here on Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network, and we'll give you an update on the leaderboard, the Players Championship. Seeing a lot of people just hang around, which is awesome. A beautiful day at the Players Championship. Hopefully you're getting a chance to come out here over the weekend. Keep in mind, by the way, that beautiful day today, sold out tomorrow. If you don't have a ticket, it's going to be tough to get out here. And Sunday, for the most part, is actually not a bad day. I know we're talking about rain and wind, but it might not be till later in the day. So you could still enjoy a lot of the Players' Championship in the early morning and probably early afternoon. How about the Jags still looking for a home? Now, Luke Farrell shouldn't be on this board.
He's on the final
goes
round.
to the 49ers. Yep. But these are some of the free agents, Dearness Johnson and Brandon Sheriff, C.J. Beathard. I still wonder if a guy like Sheriff is going to retire or not. I guess we'll find out soon enough, or if he can land, because he's one of the top offensive lineman candidates out there, but hasn't signed. So does that concern teams that he might retire? Are there some conversations that have been put on hold? Give me a few more weeks. You wonder with the Brandon Sheriff situation if he could follow in Mitch Morse's footsteps. We'll be right back. Brent and Austen Show, Action Sports Jax 24/7 Network. It's one of the hot spots in the area.
Welcome you to String Sports Brewery out at the beach. Big crowd on hand tonight. The fans are here.
And now the newest hot spot at the beach is open. String Sports Brewery in Jax Beach has opened its doors with rave reviews.
We're going to be fans forever.
Cozy up to the bar. Grab a seat in the sports-themed restaurant, or grab a seat outside and feel that breeze coming off the beach as the weather warms. Just like the original location in Springfield, try the popular beer menu and come for lunch or dinner too, because the food is fantastic. He's got some exciting news heading into 2025 as well. Christian Kirk. It's where we hosted Jags Report Live in the football season, and the String Sports Brewery staff can't wait to host you. Hey, welcome back here to String Sports Brewery. And if you haven't checked out the new location in Jax Beach, which many of you have, you got to do it. String Sports Brewery now with 2 locations in Springfield and now open in Jax Beach on Penman Road.
People helping people. It's at the core of what Alive Credit Union is all about, and it's been that way for over 70 years. From the start in 1954 to today, the mission remains to inspire financial wellness and give you a financially fit lifestyle. Alive Credit Union and its employees are committed to not only serving their valued members, but also our community here in Northeast Florida. I had a chance to see that commitment firsthand as Alive partnered with our Action Sports Jacks 24/7 team to bring you Armada men's and women's soccer broadcasts. Inside the 18, it is a shot, and it's a goal! Chloe Chivers! And that connection to the community continues with Alive Credit Union's support of the Police Athletic League of Jacksonville. Alive Credit Union's commitment to our community also involves serving the financial needs of all first responders through the recent merger partnership with City and Police Federal Credit Union. Join the community and become a member of Alive Credit Union today. Find out the many ways you can be inspired in financial wellness at alivecu.coop.
You trust CGC to make your water great, and now you can trust CGC with your plumbing needs as well. Fast, convenient scheduling, licensed and insured. A quick call away at 904-552-1242.
You never know when you're going to have an issue with a shower, toilet, or maybe it's a sink that sometimes is easy to fix. All right, let's be honest. I'm not fixing anything. I'm totally staging this because when I have a plumbing problem, I call CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing.
Trained professionals, transparent pricing, customer satisfaction. Small problem or even a bigger issue. Right now, you can take 10% off any water heater. The experts with 25 years of experience at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing can do it all. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. For a limited time, CGC is waiving the trip charge on all related plumbing calls. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
For the game day hustle and every day in between, juggling my show Jags Social to going under the Friday night lights and a social life, it's a daily tournament. But this ride, MVP status. The all-new 2024 Lincoln Nautilus isn't just my car, it's my personal locker room, office on the go, and VIP lounge on wheels. Let's talk tech. My profile remembers everything from customizing my dash display to setting the ambient lighting and my signature scent. And wireless charging, essential for live tweeting scores. Whether I'm packing for a beach day with friends or heading to the gym, there's space for every passion. After dominating all day, this becomes my recovery zone. The massage feature is like having a personal PT on call. Life's a non-stop game, but with this ride, I'm always on my A game. The 2024 Lincoln Nautilus. Drive your passion.
I'm ready to show my hand, ready to take a stand. Wait on a sign above, and I am ready, ready. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game. 'Cause I just live for the game.
For 60 years, the Bob Hayes Invitational Track Meet has provided competitive events, and we're also happy to provide scholarship opportunities too. Join us for the annual Hall of Fame Gala March 13th at the Potter's House and at the James Day Middle School Meet at UNF March 14th.
There they go.
And don't forget the annual Bob Hayes Track and Field Meet at UNF Saturday, March 15th. Get tickets and info at bhitm22.org. For vendors and partnerships, call 904-222-1075.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austen Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
There is Scotty Scheffler, and he is obviously world-class, number one in the world. Back-to-back winner here at the Players' Championship. Can he go for a three-peat? I'm still a little shocked, and I guess I shouldn't be. It makes some sense. I'm kind of shocked that Scheffler is like the odds-on favorite to win the Players going into the week. I mean, it had never been done that anybody won back-to-back. Forget about trying a three. Like, what's the odds that he actually wins this week? Well, in his favor, according to Vegas. I'd bet against him all day, and it's got nothing to do with Scheffler himself. Just that history says he ain't going to win this event. Now, that being said, he's put himself in a position to at least contend. He's certainly right there. He's at 6 under par, one of a bunch of players at 6 under par. Lucas Glover, Sam Ryder, Patrick Cantlay, Scotty Scheffler, Tommy Fleetwood, Billy Horschel. 7 under par is Ricky Fowler. Ashke Bhatia, he's at 9 under. Colin Morikawa, what a round he's having. He's 7 under through 14. He's at 9 under par. 7 under through 14 holes. Let me do the math on that. That'd get you to 65. He's got 15, 16, 17, 18 left. Okay, he's not going to flirt with anything crazy like breaking 60, but that's really good scoring through 14 holes. So he's in 4th at 9 under. J.J. Spawn holding strong, a good performance in these first couple of rounds. He's at 10 under. He's been on top of the leaderboard a couple different times already this week. 4 under today through 16. Rory McIlroy sitting at 6 under through his 14 holes, started on the back 9. He's at 11 under. That's good for one shot back of Minwoo Lee, who still holds the lead. He, too, is at 7 under. He just finished his 17th hole, so one more hole to play. He's got a good chance to be the clubhouse leader, and maybe can even add to it on the 9th hole, because his 18th hole today is actually the 9th, which is a par 5. So we'll see what happens with Minwoo Lee, but it looks like he'll get in the clubhouse at least a dozen under. And we'll see if McIlroy can catch him during the end of his round. And keep an eye on Morikawa now, right there. Obviously, second place last week has been an interesting story this week at the Players. He didn't talk to the media at Bay Hill. That was a storyline. The way he answered that question was a storyline. And then his caddy goes in and knocks an ace on 17 on Wednesday. And so it's just like Morikawa has been a headliner. And I think that's the guy I picked on Wednesday to win the Players. So maybe I got a chance there. He's a good ball striker, and that's what you do. You want a ball striker, a guy who really can hit his irons here at TPC Sawgrass. That's why Scheffler's won the last couple of years. That's why some of the great players in the world win this event, is because you got to have that game strong, because you can miss by a yard here and really pay for it. And Morikawa has always been known as a very good ball striker. Keep an eye also on Bud Cauley at 4 under par. He's getting ready to... Does he already head out there? Let me see. If he's already headed out there and started this round, he didn't get off to a good start, or I missed him. So I can't find him anymore. Uh-oh. Oh, no, there he is. 235 that he'll go tee off. So Bud Cauley, Jacksonville guy, and we'll see how he does the rest of the day here at the Players Championship. Obviously, we'll have it all covered for you tonight on Action Sports Jacks at the Players at 11:15 on CBS 47, Fox 30, and all throughout the weekend for all the golf festivities. We've had the Jags covered this week. We keep mentioning the Bob Hayes Invitational track meet, and the gala last night was awesome. One other note, and Hamby, I don't know if you've got any more pictures or video about that, but again, I just thought it was so cool that they recognized some of the guys that had been there 60 years ago and competed in the first Bob Hayes, and they were part of the festivities this week. So that was pretty awesome to see. Just a heck of a night. Congrats to Greg Coleman and everybody else that puts that on. They did a fantastic job. We go to a lot of events. That was an A-plus event last night with the Bob Hayes Invitational Gala. An A-plus world-class talent on display, including Garrett Scantling from Episcopal. And I learned a little bit more about Garrett last night. Now, we've always known Hunter Scantling, his brother, terrific baseball player, played at FSU, got drafted, I believe, played some pro ball as well. He was a heck of a player. Dad's a good dude. We know his dad from all the way back when those guys were playing football, and I first got to town. Scantling went to Georgia, by the way. He's a Bulldog, and he told the story last night that he had a scholarship to FAU and an offer his junior year, and they pulled the offer because they got somebody else to commit at receiver that they thought had a better ceiling. And that inspired Garrett Scantling to kind of go to work on the track and field part of things especially. And it was at the Bob Hayes Invitational track meet that the Georgia coach first found out about him. And he ends up at Georgia. That Georgia coach is still his coach today. And Scantling is now coaching and teaching back home at Episcopal after missing out on the Olympics 2 Olympics ago, finishing 4th in the last Olympics in the decathlete, which is one of the most grueling things you can do. And he's gearing up for another run at 31 years old to try to do it again. He's got a big summer event coming up at Bowles to try to get that circuit going. But he's been training. He's in great shape. He's healthy. And he's also coaching and teaching at the same time at Episcopal. So that's awesome. We might try to catch up with him during the summer. Just part of the stories that we heard last night with Garrett Scantling, local guy, Olympian. And, of course, we had Justin Gatlin. You know that name. It's funny. My wife's like, she was there last night with me, and she said, man, I feel like I know him. and she's like, I feel like I've met him before. Like, I know him from somewhere. Like, she knew the name. She knew what his history was. But she felt like she had actually seen him in person. And it was just that she had seen him so many times in the Olympics. That she remembered seeing him and knew the face so well from TV. And she's a big Olympic watcher. That's how much she thought she knew Justin Gatlin. By the way, Justin Gatlin joined us on Monday. So you can check out some of that interview. Go back to Monday's show. You can always go back on YouTube and Twitter and listen to the podcast as well. And part of that, I pushed out some of it today because I think it's really cool if you give all the history I just told you about with the guys that were here yesterday and gals being recognized, but also the history of the Bob Hayes Invitational track meet. Well, Christian Miller ran in that meet. Christian Miller from Creekside, he turned pro. He almost made the Olympic team coming out of high school last year. And I just thought it was cool that Gatlin, world class, one of the greats to ever do it, knew Christian Miller and was talking about him. And so we threw that out there on social media earlier today before the show. But you can also see the entire interview. A guy who, by the way, tried out for the Tampa Bay Bucks back in 2007 to try to do the football thing as well, a la Bob Hayes. Hey, once again, tomorrow you can watch the Bob Hayes Invitational track meet, 1 p.m. until 6 p.m. on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network. We're excited to be able to carry that, and then you can check out some of the highlights as well on Action Sports Jax primetime, at 10:30 on Fox 30, 11:30 on CBS 47. Hey, Hammy, I want to do a little something different right now. Here on the show. And, one of the cool things about what we're doing and what we've been able to do is partner up with some great folks from my folks at Nimick Buick GMC to CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing. That one painter has been a great partner, and we bring you all the Daniel Griffiths articles. You can check those out at actionsportsjacks.com. I should never start this because then I'll leave people out from, Bonos to I had over the last year Donatos, and, we couldn't do all this stuff without you guys. Perfect Rack Billiards and Baker Sports with our high school elements and shows and broadcasts and things that we're doing there. Scholarship programs. We love great partners. And we got a new one. And just wanted to give them a hello and a thanks for being on board with us here on the Brent and Austen Show and the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network, and show you a little bit about them as well. It's Republic Services. Hit it, Hamby. Most of us know how to throw. But you need to know what to throw. I'm not talking about footballs, baseballs, softballs. We're talking about those items you need to recycle. Republic Services explains it easy. Recycling simplified. 1. Know what to throw. When in doubt, throw it out. 2. Empty, clean, and dry those materials. It takes an extra minute, but it makes a big difference. And 3. Don't bag it. This makes the recycling process faster and more efficient. This is a look at the Republic Services North Florida Recycling Center. You can make this process even more efficient. By utilizing those 3 steps, Republic Services can help you become a better recycler in your home. Learn more at recyclingsimplified.com. So, welcome to Republic Services and recyclingsimplified.com, the place to go. And Marcel Robinson does a great job putting those things together. So we went out to their facility, and man, what an education. And that's what they do, really. This is an education process from a recycling standpoint, and it really was an education. I had so many questions, but we had so much fun out there, and probably we'll take you out there at some point, especially April is Earth Day coming up, so we might do a little bit of that. But it was pretty wild. What a neat and again, educational process. They actually take a lot of elementary schools out there to showcase that. And then they say, like, the moms and dads will come out too and be like, oh my gosh. Well, guess what? Like, Marcel and I both, we went out there about 3 weeks ago. And ever since then, we've been like hammering everybody at home about recycling. It really works. So you got to pay attention to it. You got to see it. Maybe we'll show you even up close and personal a little bit more. But just pretty wild to see. I think we all know recycling, but do we really know recycling? And those are just some simple steps, and we'll continue to talk about it and show it. But check them out as well at recyclingsimplified.com so you can make everything more efficient and learn a little bit about the process. We showed hammers in that. There are stories and stories and stories about what they find at that center. And a couple of notable things. You can actually do like an unofficial poll about what people drink in Jacksonville in terms of beer, because a lot of beer cans, so you can count that up. And then the other thing that I saw a lot of is a lot of people play the lottery, myself included, but a lot of people play the lottery because I saw a lot of lottery tickets in there through the recycling center. So that's a fascinating process. And educate yourself a little bit, educate your family. We'll try to share that education here on the Brent and Austen Show on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network. So welcome to those guys. And, hey, we got some cool things cooking right now, right? We've been partnered up with the Jacksonville Icemen. We show one more game on MyTV Jacks coming up this season. They're really playing good hockey. They've been on the road, but coming back home, and we're getting close to the playoffs. They could really make a run with this thing, even though they had the coaching change. They've actually played better since the coaching change. It's been an incredible run right now for the Icemen to get near the top of the league, so that's very cool. What we do with the Jacksonville Armada, of course, we have Fleet and Footy each and every Thursday here in the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network with Stuart Weber. Saw Nathan Walter out here just yesterday, in fact, at TPC Sawgrass. Congratulations to him. 40 and under 40 recognition for Nathan this week. And you can see a replay of Fleet and Footy this afternoon at actionsportsjacks.com. And then the most recent partnership, the Jacksonville Sharks, and we'll be talking a little bit more about those guys, celebrate them, and really kind of celebrate the partnership coming up next week after the Players' Championship as they get cooking on the road next Friday to start their season. They will have their training camp wind down the middle of next week and announce their team and everything else for the arena football team here in Jacksonville. Good to have the Jacksonville Sharks along with us on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network as well. So just a quick shout out to all those folks that are making this happen here now just more than a year old, and we got some more fun stuff on the horizon behind the scenes. So appreciate everybody for checking out all the content, not just the Brent and Austen show. Hey, there are folks in Jacksonville that you get to know, and then there are folks in Jacksonville that you really get to know. And if you have not met Paul and Michelle Tesori and Isaiah as well, then you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But if you get a chance to meet them or you know them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They are special people, really some of the coolest people I've had a chance to meet in my 17 years here in Jacksonville. And each and every year they do an all-star clinic around the Players' Championship. And what a job they've done. Now 11 years running, they've grown it for kids, really all about putting smiles on kids' faces through the game of golf. And Paul and Michelle have done a terrific job. And it's now outside of Jacksonville, too, kind of all over the country on some of the different tour stops. The name Paul Tesori, Gary Smits actually brought it up earlier, a fantastic player in his own right, but he is a caddy and actually caddies for Tom Kim now, but he won this event in 2018 on the bag for Webb Simpson. He's caddied at all the prestigious events, has a heck of a caddying career, but he's a hometown guy, and we had a chance to catch up with him across the street at the Yards the other day as they were hosting another all-star clinic with the Paul Tesori, or with the Tesori Family Foundation.
This is year number 11 that we've done here TPC Week. 11 in a row. We've got two good things. That means I've been in 11 of these in a row, which is always good in my profession, but also that we have had a situation where we could still put this on for 11 straight years. It's so popular here, we've had to do 6 in a row now in the fall, just because there's so many kids that we have to turn away, and we never want to turn any of them away. So I've had a bunch of different pros that have done this with me now. I've had Jordan Spieth, Webb Simpson, Bubba Watson, Mark Leishman, and Tom Kim made his first appearance this year. So we've had a little bit of a fun fun thing with all the players kind of jumping on board as well, and it's been a good way to start the week.
Get the gorilla out, man. That's going to be a popular thing.
It absolutely is. So the whole goal we've always tried to do is how do you introduce these kids to the game of golf but allow them to have fun? And we've got the obstacle course, putting course, and then we have Golfrilla over here. And this is where they all want to be the entire time. They don't want to go do the other things. But anytime you can whack something as hard as you can at a fake Godzilla, which we call Golfrilla, you know that good times are going to be had.
You guys have this where you want it to be? I mean, when you start something like this, you really don't know what it's going to evolve into.
Yes.
It might be too big of an animal at times, right?
So what a great question. When you really look at what we anticipated it being, it's actually outgrown that. We didn't know if we'd be able to get 25 kids to come out and partake. And then our very beginning, what we wanted is when kids age out, so it's kids 8 to 18, what we wanted is when they turn 19, come volunteer. And we have 5 of our past All-Stars that are volunteering today. And the loudest yells you'll hear are from our old All-Stars who are now volunteers, and now they're cheering on the new All-Stars. And so for us, that was our dream, and that's happening now. It's happening more and more and more, because if you've been at it 11 years, they're going to eventually age out, and then being volunteers is what we wanted. And that's what's happening. We've had a lot. We're doing a scholarship program now where if kids want to keep playing, maybe go to the Special Olympics, we will come alongside them and we'll pay to have them train and then eventually go to the Special Olympics. So it's been more than we even could have dreamed. Obviously, so much more now that we have to have a second one in the fall here.
All right, congratulations, terrific work. Let me get you a thought on the across the street.
Yes.
We got a lot of rain earlier. Are we going to see some? It was 20 under last year, by the way.
Yes. So the golf course is in the best shape we've seen it. I can ever remember, to be honest with you. The rain on Sunday, Monday was a lot, and it's definitely got us a soft golf course. The forecast in the morning is almost 0 wind. There's going to be a lot of really low scores in the morning. The afternoon's going to play a little bit tougher. We've got some wind coming up, and the course has already dried out a lot. We were getting mud on every shot that we hit on Monday and Tuesday. Today we played less mud. Greens are starting to release a little bit. The score's going to be low tomorrow, but 20 under I don't think will be had. The sad thing is Sunday's looking really pretty miserable. It might be a situation where we play even early in threesomes on Sunday. The rain looks that bad. And so if that's the case, I think the lead will probably be around 12 to 14 under after 3 days. And then again, we can't help Mother Nature. If it comes and we have to go to Monday, the score's going to be low again. I'm hoping we can get it done Sunday. And I think somewhere behind, we wanted 18 under back in 2018. And so I'm thinking that's going to be about the winning score, between 16 and 18 under.
I'll tell you what, man, whenever you get done with that bag, you got analysts all over you.
I am ready for it. But do you like how I worked in that win that we had? I try to do it in every conversation we had. So that 18 under in 2018 is not hard to forget. And it was my 18th TPC. So it's not hard to bring that back into conversations we get moving. But I like the analyst, Joel, sometime. You're not going to retire anytime soon, so I'm okay.
Oh, man, he's awesome. So great. They're just great people. And it's always cool, man, when you're around some cool people, you just get kind of energized by them. And the Tesori's are those kind of folks. So great to see Isaiah. Good to give Isaiah a hug the other day. And he's doing awesome, too, and they're doing awesome. So good luck to Paul the rest of this weekend. And the analyst stuff was pretty good. Now, what's interesting, see, that was on Wednesday. So in hindsight, Gary told us, and this surprised everybody, that the scoring was a little bit better in the afternoon yesterday than it was in the morning. And that caught everybody by surprise. That's not the way it usually goes. We'll see what happens today, because the scoring has been obviously outstanding here at the 2025 Players Championship on a Friday at TPC Sawgrass. Hey, I want to get to a couple other things, including comments. We love that you guys jump in the chat, so we want to make sure that we acknowledge you guys. Can't do it all the time, and I can't keep up with them most of the time, but we love that you chat and join us each day on the show. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and then we're back at it, of course, on Monday after a few more minutes. But from the good mornings, I keep saying we got to do some kind of like coffee in the morning thing for everybody who wants to jump in. And I got to get a shirt or something for YB400, because he just Grand Rising, fellas. I like that better than Good Morning. Grand Rising is good. So anyway, good morning to everybody, but now good afternoon. Randy says Kupp will go to Dallas as a legacy. Cooper's grandpa and father played for Dallas. Did I know that? Was I supposed to know that? I did see that Dallas was interested. Maybe I just didn't pay attention to that. Father was Troy Aikman's backup. Hamby, did you know that?
No, I never heard that before.
I didn't either. That's pretty interesting. So let's just see. Shamby's burner says it's reported that Kirk restructures his deal with Houston, opening up more than $12 million cap space. Oh, I didn't see that. Now there were some rumblings in the last couple of days that he was going to restructure. And so apparently, if Shamby's burner is correct, if there's a report out there that he did, what does that say? Because we were talking just amongst ourselves after the show yesterday and kind of saying, okay, well, the Jags probably asked him to restructure, right? That's the story. And he didn't restructure. And then he goes to Houston and he does restructure? What does that say, Hamby? Anything
that says that they really didn't want him. It's one thing if they wanted him, but they didn't want him for that money, and they would have restructured, and they asked him to restructure, and he said no, then you get it more. That means that they at least tried. But if he's restructuring with the Texans, that tells me that there wasn't a whole lot of offer on the Jags' behalf, on Gladstone's behalf, to even try to restructure, where it was kind of just like inevitable that there was only one option, and that was to move on.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know what that, like, I might have to dive into that a little bit more and just kind of see. I mean,
well, Brent, that would
past, I guess.
That would tell you that there's more.
Go ahead.
If they try to restructure, but Kirk said no, then that says their issue was not with Kirk; it was with the contract, right? Gladstone being his issue. Gladstone's issue was not with the player that Christian Kirk is and his ability; it was with the contract. But if he restructures with the Texans, well, then that tells me that Gladstone's issue was not just with the contract; it was just he didn't see Kirk fitting and being a big impact on the future of the Jags.
Well, let me go one more here, though, because I think there's one other element possible in just a scenario. When you first of all, it's become a little bit. It used to be a little taboo to ask a guy to restructure, and now it's not as much. Like people do that all the time. The maneuverability sometimes it really plays off in the favor of the player.
Right.
So you can ask. My point here is you can ask somebody to restructure. And be like, okay, yeah, let's go to the table. I can help the team out. And I thought all along before this, I was like, if they go ask him to restructure, he'll probably do it because he gets it. He's missed 14 games the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. I think he likes it here. He wants to be here. He likes playing with Trevor, all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's a good fit. He's having a baby, all that. So I just thought, okay, yeah, he'll do it. But you don't know what the terms of the restructure are.
Right.
So you could simply, no different than a contract extension in free agency, hey, we'd like to have you, but we want to pay you this. And you're like, no. So the restructure could have been like, yeah, let's talk about a restructure. And then what they talked about wasn't appetizing to Kirk, or it was kind of like, what the hell is that? That's not a restructure, And didn't you kind of get the sense a little bit from Kirk and again, maybe this might be reading into, but even Ingram's posts on social media, that they were a little disappointed at the conversations that maybe took place.
Sure.
And, well, what you do is you got a lot of pride. You got a lot of belief in your ability. Well, you always want somebody to say, we really want you. And in this process and in these interviews and in these pressers and when asked about players and what's got you coming here, what do you like about the team, Kirk and Ingram's name really were never professed to the point of, hey, we love you. Think about what I just said about Kirk and Cooper Kupp and the comparison between the sound bites from Gladstone yesterday on Kupp and Kirk, of course, from the Combine. Wasn't like this ringing, hey, we got to have them. We got to have them. So you want to be wanted at the end of the day. I just do find that pretty interesting. Michael, again, going back to my excitement is contagious. I like it. Appreciate it. A couple others to get into here as you guys are having a good conversation amongst yourself sometimes. Brent and Jason look like they were in the same shirt except different colors. Yeah, we might be. I don't know. I don't know where we went shopping. I forgot String Sports Brewery. You're right. And I also forgot Best Bet in my mentions. So shout out to all those guys. Jamie Shelton saw him yesterday. He was also getting recognized by the Bob Hayes Invitational. And we will be at String Sports Brewery, by the way, a week from today. So come join us for the NCAA tournament. That one will be in Jax Beach. So come on, Jax Beach, because we have 2 locations. The following week, we're going to be in Springfield. So next Friday's show, live from String Sports Brewery in Jax Beach. Do we know where we're playing in 2027? The answer to that has not been revealed just yet. We should know probably, I would say, in the next month. where the Jaguars plan to play, and then the NFL owners will have to vote on that and make it approved in 2027. That probably won't come until May now. There are March owners meetings, but we won't find out there. It'll come in May for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hamby, I'm impressed with you today. We got through our entire list. I'm so excited about that. We had a lot to get to. We did a lot. I can't hear you, though. Do I have to get out of here? Like now? Maybe I can even get us out on time. Okay, I will. You guys have a great weekend. We'll see you live from the Players' Championship all week with Action Sports Jacks. So make sure you stay tuned on social and on CBS 47, Fox 30, and ActionSportsJacks.com. Have a good one, everybody. Thanks for hanging with us all week. When it's time to get a new car for anyone in your family, just remember, nobody but Nimnick, the #1 Buick GMC dealer in Jacksonville. Get the latest price breaks on 2023 and 2024 models or the newest 2025 vehicles in the showroom on Phillips Highway, or shop online at NimnickBuickGMC.com 24 hours a day. GMC Sierras, Yukons, and the redesigned Acadias, or get the all-new redesigned line with Buicks. It's nobody but Nimnick, and part of the reason why is this is a first-class buying experience here at Nimnick Buick GMC. You're not just a customer, you're a friend. This is about getting a vehicle that best fits you and getting you on the road, and also helping you and your family down the road. Nimnick has a treating you right guarantee, courtesy, respect, fairness. The most Buicks, GMCs, and Jacksonville's only Car Bravo dealer, nobody but Nimnick. Who has put in the most years and stands behind a better experience? Nobody but Nimnick GMC. We are professional grade.
2024 provided plenty of memorable moments for the Jacksonville Armada on the pitch, including another conference championship game appearance for Tommy Krasanovich's under-23 men's team.
Instant in the dying moments!
Debuting this year for the first time, the girls in blue, as the Armada fielded a women's under-23 side in the WPSL and made its presence known with some highlight moments.
Potential goal of the season!
Then attention turned to the future, with MLS Next teams representing the Armada badge in 3 age divisions this fall, including an under-19 squad ranking among the best in the state. Those teams are a big focus on Fleet and Footy, covering the big soccer stories each week on the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 network.
I'll put one in the back of the net for you.
Join us for player profiles, fun interviews, and the very latest on the Fleet and all things footy. That's every Thursday at 2 p.m.
I've been telling you about CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing for a long time now. Their drinking water systems remove up to 99% of contaminants.
We've had a Connecticut water softener and drinking water system in our home for more than 7 years. You can see the difference whether you're washing clothes, the dishes, or what I like to do most, fill this up for some coffee every morning, and mostly all day. Remember, if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Don't be the filter.
Save $1,000 or more when you bundle a Connecticut Premier Softener with a Connecticut K5 drinking water system. The experts at CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing will test your water for free and determine your water score. Don't know your water score? CGC will find out and recommend the appropriate Connecticut water treatment solutions so you can improve it. Call 904-552-1242 or visit cgcwater.com. Ask about our 90-day love it or leave it guarantee. CGC Water Treatment and Plumbing, an authorized independent Connecticut dealer. Florida license number CFC 1432579.
There's a saying in sports, you can't win them all, but you can win a lot with good folks on your team. Like that one painter, First Coast. It's tough to beat the sun in Florida, so your home fades. It's tough to beat that HOA when they come calling. Beat the sun, beat the HOA with that one painter, First Coast. And it's a good time to do it. Less rain to work around, and painting in mild temperatures is perfect. After all, the paint bonds to the surface so much better. Give that one painter First Coast a call at 904-417-3557 or look them up at first-coast.thatonepainter.com. Fast estimate, guidance on color and HOA requirements, and the highest quality job you'll find anywhere. Be a big winner in your neighborhood with that one painter First Coast on your team.
When it comes to trucks, I know exactly what I want. And at Bozard Ford, they make it easy to get exactly that. Let's go make this truck a little more my style. With Bozard Built, I can create my perfect truck right here. Lift kit? Check. Premium wheels? You bet. Advanced lighting package? Oh yeah. The Bozard team works their magic.